everybody. What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday night. Feeling good on a Wednesday. Yeah.
Full of pierogies.
That's right. We just had like the most Canadian, Manitoban / Ukrainian dinner you could have, and farmer sausage and pierogies. It was awesome. Homemade pierogies, thanks to Debbie Melnichuk.
Shout out, Deb.
Yeah, it's killer. So, yeah, it's Wednesday, so it means it's gear and beer time. I'm here with Logan Picton from Kilter Brewing, and just all-around guitar player from Winnipeg who just happens to work in the beer scene.
Correct.
Yeah, I think I want to say I first met you when you worked for Temple Metal Roofing, and I came to see you play in a band with Travis one night at the Ildeshane Bar.
The Wrangler.
Yeah, like a solid 10...
It would be probably exactly 10 years.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember Travis being like, yeah, this kid's working for me he's a guitar player, he plays in a band, and he's like, his band's playing in Ildeshane, we should go. And I'm like, okay, cool. So, yeah, it was great. And then you must have gone from there over to Quest Music.
No, I
Quest
started
first?
at Quest, yeah, and then
Okay.
left Quest, worked for Temple for a number of years. Then when I decided to go back to university, went back to Quest.
Gotcha.
Music job is like, the music shop job is the best in university job because it's so flexible and,
Right.
easy and chill and fun.
Yeah, man. Nice. So, yeah, and I mean, you worked alongside Sammy, like...
Sammy boy.
And Sammy is currently away on tour with Tekken for Peach Pit. Yeah. So, yeah. See whether or not Sammy bothers to chime in tonight or not. while he's in between songs,
yeah.
trying to text and tell us that he's paying attention. So, do us a favor, smash that like button, or whatever you want to say. Rev that like button up.
Rev it up.
Yeah, however lame you want to be. Look at that, Stobes. How excited are you that we have that now? That Luke figured that out.
Taught him well.
Yeah. So, yeah. We, I mean, it's called Gear and Beer. We typically have like a couple of beers, hang out, talk about, whatever pieces of gear we found that are cool, or, some of the times we show people, what our gear can do. But I'm excited because you got a lot of fun toys on your board here tonight. That stuff that I've never played that I'm really interested to see.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, the diamond stuff.
Rest in peace.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Anyways, I heard that. I don't know. I think I heard it like a week ago or something. Actually,
Really?
Brad, who works here, told me that diamond is no longer.
Oh, yeah. So now they're all going to go up in value. They're Canadian made, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Nova Scotia.
Nice. Yeah. I've seen it. I don't know. Did Quest carry it? Is that what?
They did, yeah.
So,
That's how I dipped my toes into that brand.
Nice. Yeah, I've never played any. And, a little bit of JHS stuff.
Yep.
I like the fact that you got the new tube screamer. I remember when that came out and it was all the rave.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really appreciate that you got a wah pedal on your board. I do
Yes.
not. It makes me sad that you have that and I don't have a wah pedal.
And this is like my all-time wah. The
Yeah.
custom audio electronics one.
Yeah.
A guy at Quest, actually, when I was like first started working there when I was 16, raved about this wah, and then I went through a number of them before stumbling on it. And like to this day, I just It's got a boost on it that I don't really utilize, but
Yep.
yeah, just the scope of it is phenomenal. Like you can sit it and get that like really squawky sound when you kind of get it set in the middle. Like
Yep.
I'll try and mimic in certain cover gigs. I'll try and mimic like the clave sound that you get in Superstition.
Yep.
Like so it's like close enough, you know, when you don't have keys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Nice.
yeah, this is a sweet pedal. You
Awesome.
know, there's some upgrades I'd like to make to it, but versatile board.
Yes. Yeah, you've got a lot of different things on it. So we'll get into that, but let's start off talking about beer, because that's the thing that we don't talk about enough, because Sam and I don't know shit about beer. So, I mean, yeah, the gratuitous.
Nice. Oh,
Nice
you got a good
mind.
splash there
Yeah,
too.
cheers. So, you're going to tell me what I'm drinking, because this is from Kilter, which is based here in Winnipeg.
Yep.
And you are in charge of sales there now.
Yeah, so I manage all the sales in Manitoba,
Nice.
dealing with like retailers and then bars, restaurants, all that jazz. I've actually only been there for 3 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah. So
But you've been in and around this industry.
Yeah,
for-
just over 4 years, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was with the local brewery called Nonsuch for 4 years prior to this, and then jumped in with Kilter now. So yeah, Kilter's it's definitely a different brand than what I'm used to. Nonsuch
Right.
was like traditional European beers.
Okay.
And Kilter kind of takes like, they take the modern beer world by storm. You know, lots of New England IPAs, juicy IPAs, hazy IPAs.
Yep.
And like a lot of really fun, unique styles that you don't necessarily see around all the time. Like we've been doing some tasty ciders, which are not necessarily beers, but then we're doing like an apple strudel flavored cider.
Oh, nice.
We have a beer called Space Jam, like the fruitiest, most
See.
opaque beer you've ever seen in your life.
That sounds like what I would drink, because I'm typically a Radler guy, and I want my beer to taste like juice.
Yeah, man.
So this is actually pretty good. Like, it tastes kind of like, I don't know if it's supposed to, but it tastes like a little bit fruity to me.
Yeah, there's a little citrus note in that
Yeah.
beer for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Winnipeg lager.
Yeah.
Kilter, Winnipeg, great city of Winnipeg, has a new logo, which
Okay.
is you can see on the front of the can, and then that like
Here?
in red there. Yep.
This is the city's logo?
That's the city's new logo.
I had no idea.
I know, and there's a new slogan too. So I'm interested to hear what you think when I say it. Made from what's real.
Winnipeg is? The hell does that mean?
I know. Apparently there was a 2-year think tank to try and come up with that
Oh, my
slogan.
word. I don't know how much money that shit must have cost.
It must be difficult though. I'm trying to empathize. Like, how do you get a slogan for a city? Like, it was one great city before,
Right.
and I guess it's an okay city. I like it here.
Yeah.
It's great for me.
Oh, jeez. It is. Yo, what's up, Mitch? Yeah, hey, everybody. Tell us what you guys are drinking there tonight, too. And we'll try to keep up in the comment section here, too. Yeah, man, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I feel like anything in, like, politics, whether it's municipal politics or provincial politics, whatever it is, and even if it's something as simple as, like, branding, logo design, stuff that's supposed to be, like, hype up the city you're in, I think it's just a losing proposition no matter what you do. And
Yeah. What are you gonna
especially in
call?
Winnipeg.
Like, it's just there's too many different people in every city.
Well, and Winnipeg has this unique characteristic. Like, we've got so many just kick-ass guitar players that have come from this town. But I don't know what your experience has been like, but I've always found that, like, your own city hates you when you start, and you get, like, next to no love until you find success somewhere, and then come home, and then you are definitely labeled as, like, yeah, they've been here the whole time, and we've known them, and we're like, shit, really? Yeah. I just always found that weird that, like, I would always watch bands that had success, and the bands that had success were always the ones that left, found significant success before they came back, and then when they came back, people would come out, because even down to, like, Joey Landreth. Like, I've gone to see Joey at, man, what's that pizza place called on,
Academy?
no, not Academy, it's, well, I think it does other stuff besides pizza, but it's right by the Misericordia Hospital.
By the Miz. The Handsome Daughter? Oh wait, it's a pizza. Oh, Bella Vista.
Bella Vista.
Yeah,
I mean,
Bella
I've
Vista.
seen Joey there with like 12 people.
Yeah. Oh
And-
yeah.
And it's
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I remember seeing the bros at Infernos on Academy.
Yeah.
Like, well, before they were, like, when they were just kind of getting going. And, you know, classic, I've, like, pride myself in being having been a fan from the get-go, but I'm sure you do too. Like, those guys kicked ass from the start.
Yep.
Right? And then now, I mean, I'm almost, like, I feel like this, like, secondhand pride where it's like, you guys really just, like, you just did something awesome.
Yep.
And look at the music you've put out and the music you continue to put out. Now you come here and you play the Burt. Like, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, like those guys and Ariel and like Murray Culver and like just a bunch of those dudes are just phenomenal musicians. But I don't know how I feel about
Made from what's real?
Made from what's real.
I mean, okay, so try to be
worse.
objective. Like, maybe it is. Sure.
Yeah.
Everything's made from what's real as far as like real life goes.
Yeah.
But like, it's just hard to sit, like, get behind that and be like, oh yeah, man, I truly stand behind that.
It sounds like marketing bullshit.
Yeah, I know. But the
I
beer
mean,
is so good.
Yeah, exactly. That it doesn't matter. You could say whatever. It could say, you know, doesn't taste great, and you'd be like, fuck, they're lying.
Yeah, they are.
Like,
truly.
that's all it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like this one. What do you got?
I've got Kilter Waves. So our like flagship beer is called Juicy, and it's a juicy IPA, and like it's literally that. It's citrusy. You know, classic. Like you'll get grapefruit notes out of it. I find I get tangerine out of it, and then Waves is like slightly less fruity. There's a little more hop profile to it. It's a juicy pale ale, I believe. Yeah, with El Dorado and Citra hops. Citra is like the classic citrusy hop. I mean, it's in the name.
Right.
Right. But yeah, this is a nice hazy beer. I like it. Easy drinking, not super high ABV. It's only 5%, whereas Juicy's 7.
Okay.
So like, get this, and you probably never thought of this. So a 7% beer, you're like, oh, well, it's only 2% more than 5%. Yeah. Well, that's 40%. So like, it's 40% stronger than every average beer.
Oh, dude, I remember. So the first time I went to Nashville, I had flown in, and we were going to Summer NAMM. We weren't exhibiting, but we were going to check it out. And I remember, like, I didn't eat at the airport because our flights were late. I get in, and we go to the show for a little bit, and then we decide to go for dinner. Haven't eaten all day, right? And I go to this burger place called Pharmacy, which if you're in Nashville, go to Pharmacy Burger. It's killer.
Cool.
And it's like, it's weird. It's a burger place, but like they also have like German beers and like bratwurst and like, yeah. So it's, yeah, you dig it, I'm sure. Anyway, I really like Hefeweizens and like pretty much any German beer. So I didn't pay attention on the menu to what I was ordering. I just said like, well, you guys have German beer. I'm like, I like wheat beers, just bring me something. So they bring me this beer. And I taste it, and like I don't like hoppy beer. Like if it's really hoppy and really bitter, that's why we were kind of joking around about IPAs. I'm like, no, almost all the IPAs I've had are super bitter. So, anyway, I start drinking this beer, and I hate it. But I'm such a stubborn ass that like I'm like I paid $8 for this beer. I'm gonna drink it. So I pound it, and then, like about 5 minutes later, I was there with my brother and his wife and my wife, and my brother says something to me, and I turn and look, and the whole room moves slower, and I was like, "What the?" I'm like, "I had one beer." I'm like, "How the hell did I have one beer? Like, I can't be hammered. What's going on?" And I turn and I look at it, and it was like 12% on an empty stomach, and like I just downed it because I was like, "I'm gonna choke this back and move on." So I like grabbed my keys and I hand them to my wife, and she's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Well, you basically pounded like 2.5 beers in like whatever 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So
after eating nothing.
But yeah,
that's so
much for always making. I mean, it was a German beer, I was gonna say, but so much for always making fun of the Americans for their watery beer.
Yeah. Well, man, you would like a New England IPA, I'm sure. Yeah. Like West Coast IPAs are like piney, super bitter, resinous, and then East Coast stuff is like super juicy. Like the Kilter Juicy, you might not love it, but I would be astounded if you didn't go like, oh, that's not actually what I would think it'd be like.
Well, we have a few of those, so I'll get after it.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, okay. Next thing about Kilter. So is it just in Manitoba, or is it
just in Manitoba?
Okay.
So far. you know, there's always bigger dreams. It'd be sweet to get out of the province. You know, it's like anything where like you want to, like Rev, where it's just like you establish yourself, and that takes different lengths of time for different business styles and types. But I mean, the idea is definitely to be bigger and to get out of province. You know, we've got a lot of really strong relationships with other breweries out of province. Superflux is a brewery that we've done collaborations with. Two Crows Brewery out of the East Coast. So, you know, the craft brewery scene, it's like the music scene where like, you know, it's small in your city, it's also small in your province, but it also feels small in the country. And that, like, you know people everywhere. Like, there's just always those endless connections and, like, small degrees of separation.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. Is there any challenges with alcohol laws or anything with getting stuff out of province? Because I've seen that with lots of, like, I remember talking to the guys from Farmery, and, like, they kind of, did they go on Dragon's Den? I don't remember how that all
Probably.
worked. But, like, they blew up, like, real huge, real fast.
Yeah.
But, like, you never see it.
Well, they were flash in the pan, I think, maybe more so, where it was like, boom, and then, like, all of a sudden, all these other producers start to come up, and then the competition becomes way more fierce, right?
Yep.
So I'm sure that's part of it. But, yeah, I mean, there's certain provinces that are quite easy to get into, and then there's certain provinces that are really difficult to get into. Right. Whether it be, like, regulations, Ontario just costs an arm and a leg to even, like, dip your toe into it, right? Whereas Saskatchewan is actually relatively easy to get into. So, you know, some provinces are easier, some are more difficult.
Because there's nothing cool in Saskatchewan.
They're like, please sell your beer here.
Exactly. I saw Mitch Fraser was on here, and he's a buddy of ours who's in Regina. So I love poking fun at Saskatchewan when I get a chance to. Just like everyone in Manitoba, because they're actually probably better than us.
Joel, hey, Joel Gregoire with a nice Logie comment. Hey, brother. Yeah, man. So, you know, it's easy in some places, difficult in others. But I mean, on top of that, there's like, when you go into a new province, it's like anything. You want to put your everything into it. So you gotta get face to face with these people. I mean, for all I know, like there could be 30,000 vendors reaching out to Saskatchewan or beer producers saying like, carry your beer, carry your beer. So, you know, you want to get out there and shake hands, kiss babies.
Just like being in a band, man. You got to get out there and start making waves on your own, right? Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So later on, Logan's gonna be driving to Saskatchewan with a beer truck, just sitting in front of the where does it? What's it's the Brant Center or whatever it is that the Rough Riders play at.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or Mosaic Stadium.
Mosaic, yeah, brand new. Okay, yeah.
Don't make me put on your bunny hug and come over here. Yeah. Such weirdos, man. Do you know about that? Like the bunny hug thing, dude. No. People from Saskatchewan call hoodies bunny hugs.
Bunny hugs.
It's a real thing. Like,
what's the practical?
So the reason why is they say hoodies are so, at least, hey Mitch, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I was told, because I've told this story before, but when Stobes and I played in a band, the first time we played in Saskatchewan at our merch table, some dude came up and was like, hey, how much for the bunny hug? And I'm like, the what now? I'm like, dude, stay over there. Like, I don't know, this dude's weird, right? So, the way it was explained to me was that because a hoodie's like so like soft and cozy that it feels like a bunny is hugging you, and I was like, no. I'm like, you can keep that one, Saskatchewan.
We'll put that in the Winnipeg Made from What's Real aisle.
Yeah, exactly. So, you guys can hang out where the Rough Riders play and try to make some beer sales.
Totally.
All right, so.
Okay, that being said, one more thing on Saskatchewan. And I can't recall if it's Regina or Saskatoon, but they actually have a really great craft beer scene out there as well.
I'm not going to lie, dude. I love to rip on Regina. Like, there's no tomorrow, like everybody else from here, but I think Regina has a better...
cool city.
I think they have a way better food scene. And, like...
Really?
Like, downtown Regina has, like, really, really great restaurants. And
cool.
I'm like, damn it. I'm like... This can't happen.
Hey, man.
It's like, I grew up in Carmen, and it's like when Winkler gets something cooler, you're like, oh, they have McDonald's.
Winkler got Boston pizza.
Yeah, like we have everything. Oh, damn it. We have Sills, and it's just, yeah.
As you grew up in Carmen.
Yeah,
that's
I did,
funny, man.
Yeah, that's...
My family's from Swan Lake, so like, we're right around there.
Nice.
Small world.
Yeah, I passed by, I have a cottage out near, Ninette, Killarney area, and
cool.
I pass through Swan Lake every time I go through Carmen on the way, because my mom and my wife's parents are from Carmen, so.
Nice.
Yeah, everybody on the live stream is like, what the hell do we care about your
what's a
hometown?
Carmen?
Yeah, this sounds stupid, guys. Get on with it. So, Regina sucks, but Winnipeg is just a big Regina in many ways. Yeah, you know what? What is that? The reasoning is they're all furries and they live in their mom's basement, so they need a way to express their feelings in public without being offensive to the general population. Thank you, Robbie. Dude, Peterborough's not much better. So, yeah, all the Americans that we're watching have all left.
Yeah,
they're like, all they're talking about is a beer I can't get because it's in Winnipeg, and they're talking about Regina. Yeah, although Saskatchewan is nice.
It's not so bad.
No,
Not so bad.
I like Canada for the most part.
Yeah, me too,
I
man.
really like Nashville though. It'd be cooler if we were in Nashville right now, but yeah.
Even Fargo, if you're talking beer scene, they have a stupid good beer scene.
Really?
Yeah, a couple places. Junkyard Brewing's a really good one. Even Fargo Brewing Co. Like, they've got a really, really well-established beer scene. And even a music scene, or in terms of artists that go there.
Yeah.
Billy Strings was there recently,
Yep.
which I'm a huge fan of. I actually just confirmed today that I'm going to see the infamous String Dusters
Nice.
in Fargo as well. And like, these guys don't necessarily come farther north, so.
Yeah. No, Fargo's got like the Fargo Dome, and they've got like some decent venues. I will say, I feel like, and I should say I haven't been in Minneapolis for a long time, so like, Andy, any of you guys that are down in like Minneapolis area can confirm like the food scene wasn't amazing the last time I was there.
Okay.
Like there was some cool stuff in downtown Minneapolis, but not like Chicago, Nashville, which I realize are way bigger centers. But yeah, although Minneapolis has to be bigger than Nashville.
Minneapolis is huge, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, like, and the classic case of like, so much can change in like even a couple years' time.
Yeah.
And like, it's like me and craft beer. Like, if you would have asked me where can you find good craft beer 5 years ago, 10 years ago, my answer would be completely different. So
Right.
like, who knows? Minneapolis could be like this bustling hub.
Yeah, and like downtown Winnipeg has gotten significantly better. My only complaint about it is everything closes at like 5 o'clock now. And I'm like,
Yeah, downtown's a little bit dicey, right?
yeah.
But I mean, the Exchange, like Deer and Almond's a stupid good restaurant. There's
Dude,
some great spots.
I know. I was down there though for when I Mother Earth was in town, and I was like, it was a Saturday, it was 5:30, and I was like, I need to find somewhere to get supper, and like Subway was closed downtown. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, why can't we have nice things? Like, why?
You
like,
have to be downtown
Why
adjacent.
can't Shawarma Khan be open on a Saturday? There's a shitload of people down here, but yeah. Mitch says Regina has TJ at least. Yeah. Do you ever met TJ Silger?
No.
TJ's a guitar tech. He's teched for like, I've seen him out with like Doc Walker and like
Cool.
a lot of Canadian bands, but he's like Paul Stanley from Kiss's guitar tech right now. Whoa. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, he sent me a picture. Yeah, he sent me a picture a few months ago of him like playing one of Paul's 59s, and like there's like 2 or 3 of them in this warehouse, and I'm like, oh, like
Commitment to the road, though, man.
Oh yeah,
Right?
Oh yeah, dude. Like I saw that he was gone on his kid's birthday and stuff, and that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Dude, Joel, yeah, the I Mother show was awesome, and Jag is a monster. I helped I guitar tech for him at this show, and like he got the best tones I have ever heard out of a JCM 2000 DSL. I'm like, when I had offered that like anything that we have here, I was like, yeah, man, if you want to use anything that I've got instead of some tired ass backline amp, like just let me know. And he's like, you know what? He's like, I'll just see, I'll just chance it. He's like, I'll bring some pedals, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And he showed up with like the most janky pedal board situation you've ever seen. It was literally like a spray painted black piece of plywood that he had like rammed a few pedals together on, and he had another one beside it to connect like his whammy and his wah were on a separate pedal board from his other stuff. And he's just like, man, he's like, we just got back to playing shows. I have like, my rig's been torn apart. He's like, what I did is, he's like, I didn't want to bring a real pedal board because I didn't want to worry about having to check it. He's like, so I gave pedals to each of the guys to put in their carry-ons to carry onto the plane. He's like, and then I just put it all back together in the hotel last night.
Nice.
And from when he plugged in, I've also never heard a DSL have like so much gain, but when the guy rolled his volume control back off, it was
just
like
cleaned right
sparkly clean, and I was like,
Crazy.
holy crap! But dude's just got killer hands. So
Yep.
yeah.
It's funny, like Marshalls, I have like zero experience with Marshall amps.
Okay.
And like,
And
I
you
probably
don't
have
care
a
about
real.
that?
Well, it's funny, I do, because like, I have this distorted like idea of that. And I mean, I've never been like a full stack guy or a 412 guy.
Right.
So like, naturally, I just never gravitated to those amps. Like I was gravitating to, like I said earlier, AC15s and deluxes and whatnot. So, you know, I was never looking at those amps going like, I need to try that thing. And then when it would be there on backline, I'd be like, "Gabe, but like my other guitar player, I'm like, "Gabe, you can use this.
Yeah.
Like I'll use whatever else."
Yeah.
So I just like, you know, I'm looking at it, it's like, gosh, like I've set myself up for failure when it comes to talking about those amps because like I have no understanding of them.
I played like, Stobes and I played in like a pop punk hard rock band. So I played like dual rectifiers, triple rectifiers, and then Fender Blues DeVilles, like 410
Right,
DeVilles for
yep.
clean tones. I hated Marshalls with a passion, and it wasn't until I started working for Two Notes, which was like recently, like 2017,
Okay.
that
So I'm not alone.
No, we shot a video. Well, I had Marshalls when I was younger, and I hated them because they always sounded thin. And I was like I had a 70s. It would have probably been a JMP. I thought it was a JCM, but it had to have been a JMP. But I had a 70-something 2x12 Marshall when I was a kid that I got for $300 in like '95, and like I hated it. I had a DoD hard rock distortion pedal that I would put in front of it because this thing did not have enough gain. Which shout out to Andy Bunger. Like I love like old DoD pedals.
Okay.
He's in Minneapolis and he found like a lot of like 8 or 10 of them. He's like, hey, they want this much for it, and I was like, I will buy them all. I'm like, yes. I'm like, please. I'm like, send me all of them. And there's a DoD grunge pedal that he also got thrown in that wasn't supposed to be in there. And I'm like,
Cool.
I haven't plugged them in yet, but I have them.
Is that a guilty pleasure? DoD pedals?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. It's the, growing up, because I was in Carmen, the only music store that I really went to was Pembina Valley Music Center in Winkler, and they didn't have Boss pedals at the time. They just had the display with all the DoD pedals.
Right.
So I had the grunge pedal. Like I started off, my first pedal was the hard rock distortion. Then I got the stereo chorus. Then I got the grunge pedal. And then I think I don't even know. I think I got into like, I had like an ART multi-effects board, like a really early one. And then I got into like Boss pedals and other stuff.
Yeah.
Like in the later 90s.
So your first pedal was a
DoD.
So hard what?
Hard rock distortion.
Hard rock
I have
distortion.
it here. It is a pile of shit.
Oh,
It just
yeah.
sounds awful. Like we did a stream with it trying to get it, like where Sam and I essentially got like what were our like first rigs. Like,
Okay.
and I still have my first guitar, so I was like, well, this is my first guitar.
Cool.
And this is, it's not the exact pedal that I had as a kid because I did sell it, but
Right.
I just rebought the same thing.
course, yeah.
And I was like, can I find anything redeeming about how this sounds? And I'm like, no, I can't. But yeah, like back then I had like a Marshall 2x12, like a 70s 212, and then I got rid of it, got a Fender Princeton Chorus, I think was the next thing I got.
So solid
instead.
state.
Yep. And then somewhere along the way, I got a Marshall like valve state 1x12. I might have actually got that first and realized how bad it was, and then
Right.
got the Fender.
Yeah.
But like,
Question:
Yeah.
Do you think so? It was a JCM or a JMP you had before? You think?
it would have had to have been JMP because it was 70s, and the JCMs only came out in the late 70s or early 80s, I think.
What do you think you'd think of that amp now?
I have it. It's right there. It's killer.
It's killer.
Oh yeah, dude. Well,
That's so awesome.
Like it
Full circle.
Yeah, it wasn't until I shot these videos with we were at Stereo Bus
Cool.
with Paul Yee and Joey, and we had 70 something. I don't remember. It's
He has
whatever
some Marshall
Damon
amp
from.
there, doesn't he?
What's that?
Doesn't he have some Marshall stuff, Paul, or is it? I
No,
feel like I've seen stuff on their page,
like,
anyways.
Like Sonic Backlines often got them. Paul will often borrow stuff of mine. And,
Cool.
So we rented a JMP. I don't remember what year it was, 76, 74, somewhere around there from Damon at Sonic Backline. And then we had where is it? I don't know where it is now. That Marshall, the Randy, we call it the Randy, like the Randy Marsh. JCM 800, that's an 82 JCM 800, which no one can see because it's way up there. Oh, there it is. So
Cool.
it's a 50 watt, and that belonged to Mike Hall from the Killer Dwarfs.
Oh, cool.
So we had that.
I know Mike.
Yeah. We had borrowed that from Mike at the time, and then had this JMP, and I had said, like, and then we had, like, 60s deluxe reverb of either Joey's or Ariel's.
Cool.
And then I have a 66 Bassman head right here that
Nice.
we had that. We had those 4 amps, and we were trying to show, like, the versatility of, and, like, that you can use, like, the Two Notes Torpedo Studio and Torpedo Live with vintage amps.
Cool.
And as soon as Joey plugged into the JMP, I was like, what the hell is that? That is not a Marshall. Like, that's amazing. And then I got to go try it, and I was like, what is this? And from that day forward, I was like, all right, 70s JMPs.
Cool.
That's the thing. And then the same with the JCM 800. It sounded so great. As soon as we were done, I told Paul, I'm like, because he had borrowed it from Mike, and I'm like, if Mike ever wants to sell this amp, like, I'm his first call. And then
Right.
he ended up having to have back surgery or something, and was like, I can't lift this thing anymore, really. Does your buddy want to buy it? And I was like, yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Sick.
And that kind of sent me on my way, and I got, like, I have a 76 50 watt JMP that sounds really great.
Cool.
Although for some reason, I don't know if they're sick right now, but they sound like shit with the torpedo captor when we tried them. It sounded really thin, which isn't normal. So I gotta plug them into a real cab and see.
Get a vibe.
Yeah, but no, I love that stuff now. Anybody else on there have, like, is there any of the amps that you guys, like, played as kids that you thought were just, just crap, that later on you're like, oh yeah, why did I get rid of that? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested to try something that, like, I'm usually playing, like, rock and roll, blues, or like honky tonk country, all the way to, like, all session for like pop country people, where I'm playing rock and roll essentially.
Yeah.
But, like, I'd like to plug into something like yours and be like, okay, how does this stand up on stage? Like,
Yeah.
what's it like?
Yeah.
Now I'm all intrigued. In
Yeah, oh,
I want to
dude.
try Marshall amps now.
Dude, you should. You just have to get good. I had the worst experience with it because when I had my triple rectifier, right after I got it, and I was super hyped on boogie amps, and I still love boogie amps.
Really, eh?
Yeah.
I just think they're muddy.
They are. I still love it. Like, I don't love the mud, but there's just something about, like, a rectifier plugged into a 412 recto cab. If you're playing, like, Nickelback style hard rock, like, it rips,
yeah.
right?
I'm never playing that, so
Yeah.
why would I want it?
So,
As if though.
So when I got it, it was like 3 weeks after I got it, the output transformer on my rectifier blew.
Sayonara.
And Mother's Music at the time wouldn't give me.
Where is Mother's?
That's Long McQuaid Wall Street now. It
Right,
used to be
okay,
Mother's.
right.
So they gave me a Marshall JCM 2000 TSL, the triple super lead head, and Stobes is shaking his head because we went to play, like, I don't know how many shows we had, like probably like 10 or 15 that I had to play with this amp, and this thing was just a pile of shit.
Triple super lead?
It's supposed to be 150 watts. I had that thing dimed, like, I mean, wide open all the time. He was playing a 5152, and his volume was on like 3, and he was blowing me out of the water every night. And the tone just sounded like ass, and I'm like, this sucks. And I was like, you know what? That combo I had as a kid sucked. The valve state sucked. This thing sucks. Screw Marshall. And I was like that for 30 years. Well, not 30 years, but for like 15 years probably. I was like, no Marshalls. And now I'm like, if it's the right, like, JCM 800. I mean, I've heard people playing JCM 900s now, where I used to, if Jeremy Bortad, our web designer, sees this, he's going to laugh his ass off at me because I always say, like, the JCM 900 is like a piece of shit. But I've seen a couple of real players play them, and I was like, damn it, that JCM 900 sounds awesome. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, now I want to have a show with Marshall backline. And
I
okay, I promise I'm going to at least try it out.
What you have to get something like, when you're going to do a session, that's when you should do it instead of backline. Because if it's backline, you'll get it and you'll be like, I'm not sure how I feel about
Yeah.
this. Because backline's tricky, right? Because like even at I Mother Earth, they had two. Actually, they might have been JCM 900s, not 2000s. Yeah, they were JCM 900s, the DSL ones. They had two of them there.
How many watts is that? The 900s.
I think they're 100 watts.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think dual super lead is 100 watts and TSL is 150 watts.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Internet, you can definitely correct me on that.
Please.
Yeah, and the two amps, like we AB'd them back to back through the same cabinet, and they sounded different. So like backline amps is
Right.
Yeah.
It's a shit.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
like tossing a roll of dice. Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
How tired is it?
Yeah. Totally.
All right, so there's a 50 watt DSL. Okay. Robbie, your first amp was a 6505 plus 1x12 combo.
With a 112.
Interesting.
Okay.
You absolutely thought it was garbage. Now you can, gravitate towards 5150 tones, unless you're using a Rev Purple channel. Yeah, I hated the 5152 that Stoby had. I thought it sounded like there's this like weird oversaturation to the gain to me that made it sound really fizzy, and I make fun of them all the time. And then I bought one. When I was in Nashville on my way home, there was somebody who had one, and it was pretty cheap for like everything EVH related is expensive now, right?
Yeah.
So I bought.
Who makes that stuff now?
It's all Fender.
It's Fender.
now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought so.
So, but I bought the 5152, which was still the PV version.
Right.
But I have the 5150.
Is this the new one you're talking about?
The bottom one is the iconic.
Like the $800 one or whatever?
Yeah, that amp is awesome. For anybody who says that like the 5150 iconics that they don't like them, I don't know. I couldn't get it to sound bad when I was playing it.
Huh.
Great amp for what they cost. So and I don't know. Did you watch the Foo Fighters thing?
No.
Oh man,
No, how
holy
was
shit!
it?
Wolfgang Van Halen just ripped playing like "Hot for Teacher" and I don't remember what other David Lee Roth cover it was
Right.
because I hate David Lee Roth, but So I know Luke is shaking his head at me. But
David
anyway,
Lee
I hated Stubbs' 5152, and that amp sounds killer. Like I don't know what it is.
David
Must
Lee
be my-
Roth is not David Lee Murphy, right?
It's all in the fingers, Derek.
I was gonna say maybe it was. Well, you're just saying that you sucked, and when I played, it sounds good. But thanks.
It's all in the fingers.
So
You say David Lee Roth, and I think Dust on the Bottle.
No,
But isn't
yeah.
that a different David?
yeah, no, I mean the
is
first
it?
singer from Van Halen that can't sing. Wow. Yeah, that guy. Come on, you have to have heard the Running with the Devil with no.
Of course, yes, yeah.
So, yeah, Robbie's gonna sell his Mark III 100p, like Rev 100p, to get a 5150 iconic now. Yeah, go for it, Robbie. Hey, what's up, Jason? Good to see you. All right, I've been yapping a lot. Let's talk about your board.
Yeah.
I'm stoked to see. Okay, so let's talk about what's what.
Okay. Well, let's go right to left.
Yeah.
So this is a Polytune tuner, so that's how I tune my guitar.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
sick,
one-
man. Like, so sick.
We have those two. But this one, look, I can use it as a volume, even though I still use a volume pot on my guitar. But I could if I wanted to. Yeah.
Okay, Dunlop Custom Audio Electronics Wah. This thing's been around forever, but it's the cat's meow.
Yep.
Two different voicings on it. There's a yellow and a red. I always use the yellow one. There is a boost as well that I don't use. Next is my Diamond Compressor Junior. I had the normal compressor for ages and then sold it for 120 bucks, like a turd. And then got this one, I don't know, 2 years ago or something like that. Shout out to Aaron Shore. I traded him
yeah.
beer and a little bit of money for it.
Nice.
Yeah, great pedal. I actually really, really like the Diamond Compressor. It's versatile and it's not too squawky.
That's a pedal that I just never use. I have a couple of compressors. I've just never really figured out how it. I always feel like I sound better without it.
Right. Yeah, I've had a love-hate with compression for like my entire life of guitar playing.
Yep.
And when I had my AC-15, that's when I got rid of it. Because
Okay.
you only have so much headroom with a 15-watt amp, and then you're compressing your tone. Like I found I just couldn't get enough juice out of my my gear. And then now that I'm playing something that's a little higher wattage, I find I can use it, and like it's great for funk stuff. Like, you know, it's not necessary, but it tightens the tone up a little bit, which is nice. What do I have it set at right now? Well, this will just go clean first. Let's change to a Telecaster.
Yep.
That'll do it. So,
See, I could do that with this if I actually used it.
best effect ever. Volume. There, that'll give us a little better idea. So, and we'll tune too. So yeah, check this polytune out, man.
I know.
So it just tells you when the notes are on.
You know, it's cool, but there's a black one, and I think the black one's cool.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
It is way cooler.
I have the white ones too. That's what we have on all of our. Like, this is my like makeshift board until I actually. Sam and I are in the middle of like picking out pedals that we're putting onto like permanent boards, and
Nice.
My normal board, like you've got two polytunes because you have that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like normally I have that. Yeah.
A lot of rev pedals on your board, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I use them all the time.
Yeah, all on, all at the same time.
Well, I do that too.
Yeah.
You're not wrong with that.
So yeah, the Diamond Comp is great, like, or without.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just nice, you know what? It's good for country stuff when I'm playing, like,
Yep.
that kind of shit, you know?
Yep.
So next in the line, we have the the KTR Klon.
Yes.
This is the real deal, I assure you.
Yeah.
The guy that I got it from did a little craft and
Yeah.
refinished it. So it's actually kind of cool looking. But the prude in me is disappointed that I don't have the original looking one. With like the, what is it, kindly remember that, the hype. Oh, let's grab this thing.
Yeah.
Take a look. Okay, what does it say? Kindly remember the ridiculous hype that offends so many is not of my making.
Bill Finnegan's insane too.
He is.
Yeah. Like I've met him before a couple of times, and he's yeah. Actually, I wonder if I can.
And then this too, almost always better, almost always worse.
Yeah.
Like, that's so sweet. So anyways.
I'm gonna while you're talking about your pedal and showing us how you have your Klon set.
Yeah. So my Klon, this is certainly my probably my all-around drive. Like I find I'm always adjusting my gain knob like on the fly. But for the most part, it's like my lighter mid gain drive. This is clean. We'll go bridge. So yeah, it's, but I mean, gosh, as you know with this pedal, like you can literally dime the gain and still get so much clarity.
Yeah.
So, you know, use it however you want to. But, and then next we have the new tube screamer actually, which you brought up earlier. Korg, I think it's Korg's new tube technology, right?
Yeah, I just want to show you this. So for everybody who wants to see inside a Klon, there it is with the gooped board, right? So that nobody copies his.
Is that really why he did that?
Yep, it's the same as Dumble. Dumble started doing that so that nobody copies his circuit. So then if you ever have anything go wrong, you got to try to remove this, which is a tremendous pain in the ass.
Crazy.
So yeah, it's that's what he did. Wow. That's how it looks. It's pretty basic.
Crazy,
But-
eh? When you think of like the hype.
Yeah. So this pedal was owned by a buddy of mine from Nashville, actually, that before I got it, he had traded it off to a dealer friend of ours, and I got it from the dealer. But I was with him at NAMM when he went to, at Summer NAMM one year, when he went to see Bill Finnegan and got him to sign the inside. So it says, to DC, I don't know why you're interested in having me do this, but what the hell, Bill Finnegan.
Finnegan.
If you guys can, I don't know, here, should I move it forward? What should I do so you can see it? Yeah. So, yeah. So that's the kind of guy Bill Finnegan is. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, for a while, like, I remember he was at one of our events and was telling me that, like, I asked him, like, you know, can you still build the original Klons, or do you just do KTRs? Because he was selling KTRs and they weren't expensive. Like, they were like $300.
Yeah, I think it was 280 or something like that, right?
So anyway, he was saying, he's like, yeah, I build one like original Centaur every month. He's like, and there's a single mom that lives like either next door to him or on his street that he's friends with, and he goes and gives it to her. Like back then, he was giving them to her every month, and was like, here you go, you can pay your mortgage, sell this. So he'd build one new one and give it to her because he still had enclosures and stuff to do it, and could build a few more. So unless he's full of shit and that he wasn't actually doing that, and it's just a really awesome story. But I was like, oh, Bill, you're a good guy, even though you're nuts. Pedal's awesome though.
Yeah, it is a good pedal. Honestly, like, you know, like you're always looking for I feel like drives, I've gone through a gajillion of them.
Yep.
And like, this is the first time I ever have something on my board. Maybe not the first time, you know, my Polytune. But like, I don't think I'm ever gonna take this off.
Right.
It's just amazing.
Yep.
Like, it's so versatile. There's always beautiful clarity. It's never muddy, tight. It works great as a boost, great as an OD. Like,
the graphic is really amazing. Like, that's like a guy like...
well, Centaur, look, he's got an arrow.
Yeah.
There's an arrow freaking stabbed into him.
And he's in space.
Yeah,
like,
Space
there's
Centaur.
stars and like, wow.
Shout out to Chris Steffs.
Yeah.
Also, why the hell did you do that?
The armpit arrow is just amazing.
Yeah, so, but yeah, and then, so the new Tube Screamer, obviously has new tube technology in it. And then, I mean, the cool thing about this pedal is obviously the blend knob. Like, it's fun to be able to mush through super driven tones and then clean it up a little bit. So I usually use this as a little higher gain. No distortion on my board, obviously, but... So, yeah, sometimes I dime it, but I've got Stagger 68s in here, the bare knuckle pickups.
Okay, yeah.
And so these are their honky tonk pickups. So they're pretty low output. So I find I need to drive stuff a fair bit more than when I use like my P90s or whatever. But I mean, even that, like just a ringing G.
Yeah.
Nice sustain, it's good. And then I'll use both usually. So
Nice.
Yep, JHS Prestige Boost.
Okay, hold on though. Question for you. Do you have an original TS9 as well? Or like
I do, yeah.
How do you feel the new tube versions? Because I saw somebody who asked about like how we feel about tubes in pedals. I don't have an opinion on that, but I'll hold.
I honestly, like, with the new Tube Screamer, I feel almost ambivalent towards it.
Right.
Like, it's fine, it's a good pedal, but I think there's a lot of just, like, good overdrives out there.
Yeah.
And sitting beside my Klon it's really tough to, like, feel jazzed about this thing.
Right.
If I had two of these, I'd be on cloud 9.
Right.
That's what I would want. But you know what? Like, it's fun. You know, the way that like the new tube technology reacts to your playing is somewhat natural, and like when you're using a tube amp. I think this is a great modern option for the Tube Screamer. If you like the TS9, you know, try one of these out. It's obviously more pricey, but just the blend knob, like, it's just you're not stuck with that like squashed tone you get with a normal TS9.
Right.
I love a TS9 with like another more transparent drive for solos.
Yep.
Like, you get beautiful sustain. There's something about the mid-range that's just like unmatched to me.
Yep.
So I love it for that, but in terms of like trying to keep my board relatively empty, honestly, I would rather like have a board that's like this big.
Really?
Like, remove 5 inches and like have my wah off to the side or something like that. Like, just for the sake of not having to have so much shit on my board all the time, you know? But yeah, that's my take on the Tube Screamer. It's cool. Yeah, Prestige Boost. I've had this forever. It's a great boost pedal. It's a buffer as well. I only use it for boost.
Okay.
And it's always just been great. Like it's about as straightforward as they come. Usually I have it around 10 o'clock. A little bit more high end, like
Nice.
it brightens it up a little bit, but nothing crazy. There you go. Boss chorus, baby.
Yep.
Boss all time. If you know, the first thing I'd like to change on my board actually is this chorus pedal. I had the Empress Chorus
Yep.
from JHS for a while. It was fine. It was good. The thing is like with chorus, I'm trying to justify like spending $300 or $400. So like, when are you actually getting that value? I don't know, because this pedal is not expensive and it's great.
Yeah. I never use chorus. Sammy uses it all the time now. And like Sammy's been using the Dan Electro Cool Cat from the 90s, which is killer, but he also just started using the Walrus Juliana.
Juliana, that's the
Juliana.
bigger version, right?
It's not bigger, but it's the new version.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. But
Gotcha.
it's, yeah, he's been bragging to me about that, and I'm like, I never use chorus, so it doesn't matter.
Oh man,
like,
I love chorus. I feel like a lot of people have love-hate with chorus, but it's just, for me, like, you know, I would love a Mobius,
Yep.
but I haven't decided to drop the coin on that thing. So
Yep.
in terms of modulation, like that to me is the best. Like, just adds a little bit of spaciness, like when you
Yep.
goose the reverb up and stuff, put some delay on, like, I don't know, it just seems like a beautiful additive to that.
Yep.
It's not phase. Phase to me, like, I only use phase in like Merle Haggard songs.
right. It's only good for like 2 songs in your
Yeah.
set at best
Yeah,
case.
it's like not that valuable for me, anyways. Like some people probably love it, but is someone saying I don't love this? Andy, are you saying that because it's not a CE2? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You're right. I agree. Or the Dimension C. Have you tried the Dimension C?
I haven't, and it seems like something that I would buy and like try once and then never use again, which is very typical for me to do. So I probably will get one, but
Yes.
yeah.
It sounds great, but like to me, only having 4 buttons, and I mean you can use multiple, but I don't know. I need to be able to adjust the rate and the
Right.
depth on a chorus pedal. But this is where I have it set right now, so.
Yeah.
I use it for like Learning to Fly by Tom Petty.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Boss Chorus, baby, you know?
Nice.
It's been around forever. Chorus Ensemble, the CE5. This is Andy, this is actually 3 better than the CE2, so.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
3 times better though, right?
3 times.
Yeah. Like, not just 3 better, 3
Yeah,
times.
3 times, yeah. But yeah, you know what? It's a pretty damn good pedal for the price. And again, like I feel like I've had this pedal for probably like 15 years, and it's come in and out of the rotation. Yeah. I had the Strymon Ola, their chorus, and just didn't do it for me. Like to spend 400 and some bucks on a chorus, like I don't know. I felt like I was getting just as much out of this.
I just bought I haven't got it yet, but I just ordered the Flint.
Nice.
From Strymon, because Sean keeps telling me, and so does Travis from.
Isn't that tremolo and reverb?
I think I don't know. Yeah,
We're talking
I
about
know
chorus,
it's reverb,
bro.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just talking about like Strymon pedals that like.
Yes.
I have a lot of them, but I don't have the Ola, and I also passed on what's the new phaser called, the purple one.
Oh,
I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, I was like, I don't have that. But I'm like, do I need a $300 phaser pedal? Like
an MX, what is it, the Phase 90?
90,
Or a 45, like that'll probably.
I have, is it in here right now? It's not in here right now. I have a Ross phaser from the 70s that is, or early 80s that is just kick-ass. Oh, it's called the Zelza. Yeah. It's super fun. Andy, do you have it? Did I mess up by not getting it? I spend too much money on pedals already. I shouldn't buy more. So, yeah. But I know what you mean. Like, I often resort back. Like I have the L cap on this board, and
That's tape, right?
yeah,
Or D-tape, digital
Yeah.
tape echo.
if I could find my carbon copy, this would be gone.
Right.
Like in a second, if I knew where our carbon copies are.
Carbon copy's one of those delay pedals, though.
It's just killer. Like,
Yep.
and this is like, it's cool. But it's just
That's nice.
like,
It's almost It's like almost like spring reverb. The
Well,
way
I
you
have
it set up right
Verb
now.
on.
Oh, okay.
I have this like slight room reverb on
Yeah.
too.
That sounds great though.
Yeah, I'm the same with the Big Sky. I have a bunch of these pedals, and I use one preset on every one of them.
Yeah. I see you have a Mobius over there. Like, what do you use that for? You son of a bitch.
I'm gonna show you my office later.
It's a paperweight or what?
I mean, it's not a paperweight. I just don't know how to use it, Luke. Luke's just laughing his ass off.
I
at
don't
me.
either.
Yeah.
Gosh. But anyways, okay, so
Yeah.
you want to finish my board here?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
okay, so this Surf Rider, solid gold,
Yeah.
out of Montreal.
Okay.
So like, this was a random buy, for sure. This was like the classic case of like, spur of the moment, frivolous guitar player that's like,
Yeah.
oh, I could use a reverb pedal. So it was on sale, Canada Day, I think. I feel like I paid 120 bucks for it.
That's cheap.
Super cheap. So it's got like your typical bypass pedal or bypass switch and then a boost.
Okay.
And it's just a great reverb pedal. So like 3 different settings for reverb. I have it in the middle. Usually that's like the highest setting. So I'll use my spring reverb on my amp.
Yep.
And then next stage would be bypass and then next stage would be boost. So I don't have any verb right now, eh? No, so this would be stage 1 here.
Yeah.
It's like simple dimple. I mean, gosh, like I feel like I'd have to A/B a lot of verb pedals to really get picky.
It's tough with like, unless you're going to something that's got a bunch of like DSP in it. I find anyone that uses there's like one standard reverb chip that's, if you open up most reverb pedals, that's what's in it.
Exactly. Yeah, I had the Topanga Catalan bread, the Topanga reverb, which was again like fine.
Yep.
But I do love that this has the boost. So
Yep.
like if I'm playing some like slide stuff some once in a while, like
Nice.
so it's perfect. Like I absolutely love that. I don't always need to engage my delay with this. It's just like
Yep.
nice resonance, decay's good. Like yeah. So and then my
So
last.
is that just essentially, because I was gonna say, I've never seen a reverb that has a boost.
It feels like it's just like the verb level.
Yeah, you know what it's doing is on those chips, you could call it like a short, a medium, or long tank.
Okay.
It's engaging the long tank. It's the same as on our Dynamis head. It uses probably the same chip that's in there, I bet.
Okay.
And on ours, we have 3 different decay levels.
Right.
And what that's doing is it's jumping from one decay level to the next.
There you go.
Yeah.
So voila.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cool.
It's just functional to me.
Yeah,
like,
and they sound great. Like,
Yep.
it's a good sounding verb. So.
yeah.
Cool.
So Surf Rider, Solid Gold Effects. I don't have any other pedals from them. They're known for their, I think, if 6 was 9. It's like a Hendrix style germanium fuzz.
Okay.
If I recall correct. It might not be germanium, but anyways, like they make a lot of good pedals as far as I know. I've never played any except for this one. Stand by it. I stand by it. It's
Nice.
sweet. Yeah. And then the last, my first delay pedal I ever bought. Only delay pedal I ever bought.
Really?
If you could believe that.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I'm a guy that plays like rock and roll, blues, and
Yeah,
country.
yeah.
So like my primary use for it's slapback.
Right.
But
Yep.
this is the Memory Lane Junior from Diamond. Obviously made in Canada, no longer a brand. I don't know if they went under or they just decided not to build pedals anymore. I think Seamus was the name of the gentleman there I used to deal with. Hello, Seamus.
Anybody know? Anybody that's there watching that's Canadian, tell us what happened. You guys, the internet knows what happened.
Yeah. So this pedal typically comes with like your typical black knobs, like with the silver top that
Yeah.
you see on the tilt, and then it's silver pedal. And I think this was the first custom Memory Lane Junior they ever did.
Nice.
Yeah. So like it's a straightforward delay pedal. I use it for slapback. We'll slow that down a bit.
Nice.
Just jangly, like typical telly, like my messy guitar playing, like I don't know, sounds fine to me.
Yeah.
You know? And then there's some tunes I'll play now with a little bit longer delay where I'm like really trying to utilize my delay to repeat my signal. stuff
Right.
like that.
Yep.
There's a tune we play. I can't remember the song I play with one of my funk bands, but I wish I knew. I wish I knew you.
Okay.
Wish I knew you when I was young.
Yep.
And there's just like these beautiful kind of. And my feedback's down right now, but you know, it's honestly, it's simple enough that like I don't find I'm concentrating on it too much. I've
Right.
always had that approach to pedals too, where like when I first got into them, I had so many.
Yeah.
And then like you're playing a gig and all you're doing is worrying about your pedals.
Right.
And then like I've just slowly. There was a time where I only had like a pedal train, just the one above mini back
Right.
when they had those names. So I'd had like 4 pedals. And then, you know, I slowly started to incorporate more, but I still feel like I'm playing my instrument now, and like these are just complementing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, like I typically have a much larger board with way more stuff. But I only ever use one sound off each one, and I don't stack a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So like I do that a little more now, like because when I play, I mainly.
So is your boost engaged, right? Like, do you hear the boost when it's in? It's like they're separate. Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
And this is like it's kind of an always on thing for me.
That sounds
Right? Like
really
even if I had it lower, like. So, I play at church more than anywhere, so I'm like, I'm going for those types of sounds.
Yep.
And I'll use like, I've got the H9, but I literally use the shimmer preset in it.
Isn't there like hundreds of opportunities?
It's crazy, and I only found out about using the app for it like, what was it, like 3 weeks ago? We were messing around. I was like, holy crap, the amount of shit in here is insane. And like I got this Strymon Night Sky because it does all of that shimmery type thing too. And I was like, I want to just see if it's different.
What's the Night Sky compared to the Big Sky?
It's oh man, you're asking the wrong person. Luke is laughing because he knows I don't know anything about my pedals. Hey, internet, what's the difference between the Night Sky and the Big Sky? I don't know. It does like more of the like, yeah.
Oh, hey, Doug. Doug Strong just got this If 6 Was 9 from Solid Gold.
Nice.
Doug, I'd be interested to know what you think about that thing. It is a fuzz. It's a fuzz pedal, I think, right? I believe it is, anyways. No, Jimmy.
If you could switch that Big Sky out for the Hall of Fame, is that the big one? What's the big blue one from TC called?
Oh, well, you're thinking
flashback.
flashback. That's their delay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's not the Verb. That thing's huge.
So
And I've never really.
massive.
I've never really loved it.
It's the
So-
modern DL4.
And then yeah, I'll use the drive side of this, right? Like. Or I'll use the G2. Which is a
Okay,
little
jump
more,
back to the tilt now. God, those both sound excellent.
Yeah.
Those sound
then-
rockin', man.
And then I use the G3. I actually use it very differently. I'd either use it if I was going to play leads, even though I told you I don't really. Either for stuff like that,
Yeah.
or it won't work as well with this guitar because it's a humbucker guitar. But with a Strat, like, you know what? I'll use my. I'll see if my my Schecter's gonna stay in tune for me. But I often use the G3 and the G4, especially prior to the tilt coming out. I would use them for kind of like different flavors of like kind of like a fat overdrive pedal.
Okay.
So I'd roll the gain back on them, and
Right.
let me just see if I can get this thing to. I put the wrong strings on this for the bridge, and it just hates me. So, and by I put them on, I mean I told Luke to put them on, and it's just.
Did a great job too.
Yeah, it plays great. So I would roll the gain off. And you get this like fat overdrive tone that like.
Which is crazy. Like, why would you have a pedal to drop the gain on? But it sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then it goes out of tune that fast.
Do you use your floating bridge on your Strat?
I do.
Okay.
The tremolo on this thing is like really awesome.
Yeah.
When I have it set up.
Right, of course.
It's not so great right now, but like.
Do you use it with a bar?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's on there. Duh.
Yeah. I like the fact that you can get that. I can get it to clean up like. Oh man, what I mean. And that's what like with the gain rolled off. So I use our stuff way different than anyone else. The gate is actually like I never use it, but it is useful. Like it does work, right? Like.
Yeah.
Let's see here. There's a decent amount of sustain for a gate,
No kidding.
and then it. So yeah, I still don't use it. I use my volume knob.
Right.
So, yeah. Why do you have a Band-Aid on that finger?
I was thinking the same thing.
So I was making supper tonight because every time we have the live stream, I make supper beforehand. And honestly, I was like cutting up lettuce for salad. And I was cutting up those cucumbers. And on the last one I was doing, I cut it, and like as I picked the knife up, I nicked the side of my finger. And it didn't nick it badly, but it nicked it enough that I was like, I don't want whatever flap is left there to catch on strings. And my wife and my kids were like, you have to wear a like colored Band-Aid so that everybody sees what you did. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. So you've never played any of our stuff, right?
Okay, well, I played a Dynamis.
Well, yeah, way back, right?
My buddy Mitchell Shimnowski.
Yep.
So Mitch had a Dynamis for a while. Played that, and then I might have played Brad's 740.
740.
Yeah, not his generator. And then whatever, I played the tilt a little. I played these pedals. I played the G3, G2, and the tilt a little bit today.
Yep.
They all sound freaking awesome. Actually, the tilt is really superb, and so is the G2. Like in terms of something that I'm looking at, getting rid of my tube screamer, like those.
I mean, the G2 is our worst selling pedal. So
Really?
for all of you guys that, are into our pedals, it is I think it's the sleeper pedal out of all of our stuff. Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to remind you guys to smash that like button because Stobes doesn't do that. It was way better when Luke was in charge of this. Stobes, you're definitely getting demoted. So, yeah. So
It's really tight.
I'd flick that little switch up to the top.
To blue.
To blue.
Okay.
Yep.
Up to
Turn the
blue.
gain up a little bit.
I'm
now.
at even past 3 o'clock.
Are you at 3?
Yeah,
Oh,
brother.
yeah, no, then I wouldn't.
But again, these pickups are super light. Let's change over to the old Godin.
Yep.
This is my amazing $800 guitar.
This is my not $800 guitar. This is formerly Sean Tubbs's PRS Dave Grissom. And
It sounds
It's the best PRS I've ever played.
Yeah, eh?
Yeah, you have
That
to try
maple
it. The
top,
neck on it. Yeah, the neck is crazy nice on it.
So there, that's a little bit more accurate, I suppose, eh?
Yep.
then just the tilt with the boost.
Yeah.
So that probably falls a little more in line with what I would use, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But like,
Well, the generator, like the G series pedals. I mean, if you've never played a generator, every channel on the generator is extremely tight.
yeah,
Compared to like, especially for high gain, I find.
Right.
And it really, really, it's really clear and really articulate. So the G2 is really like that, right? Like that. Right, like it cut really well.
yeah.
Where the tilt is, it still does, but it's just got a little bit.
It's a little more open, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's try this guy.
I was trying to think, like Doug said, even the guitarists are repping Canadian tonight. I don't know if I have any Canadian-made electric guitars.
No way.
I don't think so. I don't have a Godin. Do you go Godin or Godin?
Well, I mean, are you French?
I'm not. So it's Godin.
I'm French. I
yeah,
think I say
yeah.
Godin. No, Godin. I say both, honestly. It depends on who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. Like, this guitar, I did not seek this instrument out.
Right.
I literally would never seek out a Godin. I had one of their Strats for a while, and it was fine. It was like one of their $400 sessions, I think it was called.
Yep.
I always really liked the Montreal Premier. It was
Okay.
their single cut hollow body.
Yep.
Aesthetically, I liked it. That was like 8-10 years ago, so I can't say what I would think about it now. But we had at Quest Music, the shop I used to work at, there was a rock and roll camp one day.
Yep.
Kevin Radomski, you know Kevin Radomski?
I don't.
He's a drummer in town. We played together for a while in a country band. And Kevin's like, hey, can you come jam with me and the kids? So I'm like walking through the aisle. I'm like, oh, this Godin looks kind of nice.
Yep.
So this thing, it was $775. So picked it up and brought it into the class. And I think I plugged it into an AC4,
Yep.
a little Vox AC4. And I remember just kind of being dumbfounded
Yep.
by it going like, whoa, like this thing plays amazing. So it's short scale, Seymour Duncan custom and vintage, I believe. Like mahogany neck, rosewood fretboard, cedar body, and a spruce top. So
Yep.
all solid wood. And like, it just spoke to me, man.
Nice.
I don't know what
Yep.
it is. So, you know, especially as a gear guy, it's like, oh, I need my Duesenberg or like my
Yep.
Select Series Tele. And then I find myself like, these days, like I could pretty much play this all the time.
Yep.
And then I recently got back into playing my Korean Tele again, which has been really fun. You know,
Yep.
you revisit instruments you haven't played for a long time.
Yep.
But like, sub $1,000 and like, I mean, they're not all this good. And I don't even know if all the Godins are this good. I think I actually played another one that I didn't like as much. But like, this guitar is just great, man.
I've played a couple of them. I've never owned one. I've played a few of them and have always been impressed. Like, especially for the price point. But to be honest, almost anything that's kind of newer that's sub $1,000, it's like compared to. I mean, I'm 42, and when I started playing. You know, really, I got my first guitar when I was 10, but I really started playing when I was like 13 or 14. And like what you got that sub $1,000 then, or even if you kind of adjusted for inflation, like my
Right.
Squire Strat that I got, like I've got a Korean-made Squire 2 Strat that it's decent, but the entry-level guitars today, like that guitar cost me $400 and some in '94.
Right.
The guitars that you buy today for $1,000 just destroy it. Like
They do.
like
For sure.
horrifically.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but yeah, I've never bought one. I think partially because by the time I tried them, I was buying guitars more as, I mean, as lame as it sounds, because everybody says this, but like I was buying them as investments.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want whatever I buy to at least be worth what I paid for
Yes.
it. And I never once saw one of those guitars hold resale value. And I was like, it's
Probably
kind of
not.
my same thing with like, I was a big fan of like a lot of Fernandez stuff. Like when you guys were playing
Right.
Fernandez stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
they feel great, they sound great. Thought the sustainer pickup thing was cool as
Cool.
shit.
Yep.
But I was like, these things literally, you spend $1,000 on them and they're worth $400 next week. You know.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and I mean, Fernandez kind of fell through the cracks too, I
Yeah.
think, right? In the end.
Yeah.
But like, there's companies like Reverend that make like really cool guitars.
Yep.
I just don't know that they'll retain. Like at this point, like you pretty much know what you're gonna buy that's gonna either get to be more expensive or at least hold value.
I feel like now you have to be spending $2K north to have anything that's going to retain value. So if you're going to get anything else, just get something that you really love and that you feel like that speaks to you. Like
Yeah.
you said, that the neck feels right to you. And honestly, even buying stuff that's expensive as investments, like, I mean, Gibson pumps out a lot of guitars, and so does Paul Reed Smith.
Yeah.
Like,
You need to be buying something that's like pre-80s for Gibson.
You
or
gotta-
whatever,
yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Or buy something that's just like, this is the right vibe or the right tool for me. And
Yep.
that's why I want it.
And like I now that I haven't worked at a music store forever, so I don't have like a really good idea of what's out there anymore. Even like I feel like Fender's models in the last like 6 years, 7 years, it's just been expanding and expanding. It used to be like, you know, Mexican, then American Standard, then American Deluxe. And now there's like Players Series and all these other crazy series.
I'm gonna grab one if it's here. Hey, do you know where the American Ultra Strat is?
Right, American Ultra.
The blue one?
No, the white one. I mean, I'm talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, talk amongst yourselves.
I'll just take a quick peek here and see if I can find it.
But anyways, like, yeah, I feel like I remember it used to be so easy for me to, you know, select which instrument was which from Fender lines, and now like it feels like there's a really wide gap of offerings, and like in Mexican stuff, in American stuff, and like even some of the Mexican instruments from them feel like they're really nice. I mean, Fender, I feel like they always stock their guitars with 9s, which to me is like the craziest thing you could ever do.
So we have this,
But-
which there's some things that I like about it. Like I
Satin
like
neck.
I like the heel here.
Nice.
But even that, like, yeah, it has a satin neck, but I kind of feel like the neck doesn't feel as good as I think it should, considering how much this guitar costs.
Because what is that, 26?
I have no idea.
It's American Ultra?
Yeah, we got it.
We're on there?
We got it. I don't know. I don't know if it was just into the pandemic. We had a thing where we had bought a bunch of guitars for Sean Tubbs to use. That Sean's a Sir guy, right?
Right.
And when we were doing videos for some dealers, they didn't want videos with guitars that they didn't sell.
Right.
And Sir is
Not everywhere.
yeah, they're not everywhere, so they didn't really want some stuff. So I was like, well, Sean didn't have any Fenders, and I'm like, well, let's get you a Fender, because every guitar or every dealer has a Fender.
Yeah.
This actually does feel better than I remember it. Scott Craker, who works for us, had one of these.
It's
I did
true.
not
You
like
said
how
that
it
all
felt.
your stuff sounds the same?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just sound like you. But
Yeah.
it does sound damn good.
Yeah, till I do that. But yeah, here, try that.
I would love to. Hold that for me.
I'll try that.
Thanks, brother. Feels nice off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to just turn your fancy tuner pedal up.
Yeah, I will.
I mean, it feels nice.
It does. The action is like really low.
Yeah, it's
Like-
pretty slappy.
Oh yeah. There's a button on the volume. I don't know what that does.
What is that actually? When it's out, I'm getting a little more highs,
Maybe. Hey Luke, can I go grab some more beers?
I'll have a juicy, please, Luke.
Yeah. If we have two of those, I'll have the other one.
And if there's only one, I'll have the other and he'll have the juice.
I'll have whatever's there. There's Brad. What's up, Mogi?
It sounds ridiculous.
We've got some in the fridge too.
Oh, I'm glad to hear, Brad.
No, we've got the juicy ones in the fridge too.
Yeah.
He wants the juicy one.
If there's two juicy, I'll have two juicy. No, this is
That's waves.
waves.
See, I'm learning.
It says if you read.
It is a juicy pale ale.
Oh,
Yes.
I see.
Luke, you are right. Good to see you, Brad. I was hoping you were going to tune in, buddy. I actually haven't owned. The last Strat I owned was the Mexican Jimi Hendrix.
Oh yeah.
And they did.
Yep.
It was fine.
I have a. I don't know where it is. I have a US Strat. I don't know where it is. Like an 80s or an 87, which is a killer guitar.
An 87?
Yeah, I don't know where it is though.
I had an 86 actually. It's funny you say
Really?
that. Yeah.
So I have an 86 that's gunmetal, or sorry, 87 that's gunmetal blue, which is like my favorite color for a Strat. Do you know where my gunmetal blue Strat is?
No, but I can find it.
You check my office in the mono bags first.
Am I allowed to pee during this podcast?
Yeah, you can.
Where do I go?
To the bathroom. No, not in here, preferably. So, do you want to show them where the bathroom is? Yeah, I'll trade you. I'll give you that back. You can hang that.
Let's make sure we
on your
don't get
stand.
these
Oh
crossed.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't cross the
Yeah.
streams.
No one told me to pee before this thing starts.
It's fine. It wouldn't be the first time that I've left to do that.
What do you think of that beer, Derek?
Uh,
I know you're definitely not an IPA guy.
It's better than most IPAs I've had, but I can tell it's hoppy on the first shot.
It's so good, though.
Oh yes. I was gonna sell this guitar, and now I don't want to. It sounds really good. Doesn't that sound like Jackass?
That's amazing. That guitar does sound good. What are you running right now for pedals?
I have the L cap on as like a slapback, right? Turn that up. But I'd rather have it on. And I also have the Big Sky, like the boiler reverb. And I'm just running the tilt, like the boost and the boost and the drive side. Like, let's try this other Strat here. So,
Hey, can you guys hear me as I'm on the way back from the bathroom?
yeah, you're good.
I will
Yeah,
just
you
say,
left your mic on the whole time.
I know.
I tried to play so no one could hear you taking a leak, but you know, I might not have made it.
I covered the mic too, and I was peeing like alongside of the bowl so that it wasn't as loud.
You're like, there's a mute button. We should have showed you where it was, but we're high class here.
I was gonna say, like, it's basically a cricket graveyard in that bathroom.
Oh, yeah. Yes. It's rather gross.
Okay, I'm gonna try one of these PRSs here. Which one should I try?
Oh,
here,
you should try
Derek?
the one I was playing.
Okay,
This is,
hook it up.
without a doubt,
Thank you.
the best.
So your first pedal was what again? A DoD?
DoD Hard Rock Distortion.
Nice.
Do you want me to tell you my favorite drive pedal we have here?
Sure.
That's not, like, I should say my favorite drive pedal. It's the tilt. But, no. Hey, see
You
what I
should
did there?
buy one now.
Smooth, yeah. Now, my favorite drive pedal that is a non-rev pedal is actually not even one of the Quans. So, anybody that's watching know what my favorite drive pedal is that is not a tilt right now that can answer? First one who does, I'll send you one of the new Rev t-shirts.
If I guess, will you give me a tilt?
Probably not a tilt. I'll give you a t-shirt.
So that means I can guess it? Is it the Analog Man?
It's not.
Okay.
That's actually not mine either. That's Joey's, but you would think that was it because they're.
I have no idea.
Andy Bungert wins. So, it is the Schnobeltone Daily Driver.
Oh, no way.
This pedal right here. Okay. Hit your tuner pedal.
You got it. The Daily Driver, Schnobeltone.
Yep.
Cool.
Check this thing out.
Good to go?
Good to go.
What does this thing cost?
I don't know. I got it like. I have a couple of friends who like. Does anybody know? Yeah. Anybody know? Like maybe look it up on the internet. Somebody on the internet there tell us how much Schnobeltone Daily Driver is. So I'm like super fortunate that like Sean has his own YouTube channel where he does lots of pedal demos, and then every now and then he like purges like all the excess stuff that isn't on his board. And he actually told me about that pedal, and he's like, "I'm gonna send you this one." He's like, "I'm gonna regret getting rid of it because it's really good." He's like, "But." Sean and I've like hung out and just messed around like what we're doing right now a lot in the last 4 or 5 years.
Nice.
And he's like, I think you're really gonna like this pedal. He's like, when you get it, because I'd buy like literally when I'd buy them from him, it'd be like 30 pedals would show up, and I'm like, and it's just a like bulk price for everything, and then I'm like, I'll just keep whatever I like and sell everything else off, and I never sell anything off.
Of course.
I just end up accumulating things. And yeah, I remember as soon as I got it here, he's like, make sure you take that Daily Driver out and try that like right away. And as soon as I plugged it in, I was like, well, this one goes straight to my board. Like, it's just killer.
There's a roundness to it, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so apparently it's $279 US, so it's not a cheap pedal by any means, but
cool. This guitar is beautiful too. I love the thickness of the top on this thing.
yeah.
Like up here.
Yeah.
Cool, man. And what's this?
This is my 87 Strat that I was talking
Oh,
about.
cool. Wow, it's in immaculate condition.
Yes. I bought it used. I actually had this guitar and I gave it to my brother because so the story is that when my first like real guitar teacher that I learned anything from was this guy named Dustin. When I was 14, I took lessons from him, and he had a gunmetal blue Strat, and I fell in love with it. And I eventually bought it from him. My brother used to play drums in a band with Dustin. So one day my brother was like, man, he's like, he plays a little bit of guitar, not much. His son is Lucas's son, and he's like, no, he doesn't play. Anyway, he used to play a little bit of guitar. What's his riff that he always plays? Like, played it last week.
Some White Stripes song.
Yeah. Anyway, my brother Scotty was like, man, my favorite Strat is that gunmetal blue one. And I was like, you know what, man, you can have it. Like, I've got so many guitars. Yeah. Like, he was your buddy, you should have it. I immediately regretted giving it away, like immediately. And I'm like, I'm not gonna ask for it back. So I went to find one, and I found this like during the pandemic from Big House Guitars in Atlanta, I think it was, on Reverb.
Oh,
and
cool.
It's just my favorite color of a Strat. Like, I just think it's
really nice, actually.
Gorgeous.
I personally wouldn't say gunmetal, but
yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's weird. It's got like some weird finish checking in it.
You can see that. Eh?
Like the one that they have doesn't have that. Cool. But I also had TJ, like when Mitch brought up TJ, I had TJ strip the finish on the neck of the Strat that they have and put stainless frets in it, and it is just amazing. You don't even play it, do you? Your dad doesn't let you?
The wood shrunk, so it kind of cuts my fingers when I play it.
Also doesn't humidify his guitars,
Nope.
apparently.
I was going to say, I can't say
Absolutely not.
I can't say a word. Probably stores them in a basement in the winter.
In the garage.
But yeah, this was, I mean, I had one exactly like this that when I was playing in a band, I had a USA PV Wolfgang was my main guitar.
Okay.
And then this was my backup that I had put like the Seymour Duncan Invader pickup in the bridge. And yeah, and now I don't change pickups in anything anymore except for the, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, that's so cool, man. Like, I miss my 80s Strat that I
Yeah,
had.
I'm gonna try it.
So, the guy I bought it off of when I was his name was Robert Marginet, an old gentleman from...
I will say, this is decent. I like that more.
Okay.
But
you also don't like IPAs.
exactly. I wouldn't complain if somebody gave me this.
Okay,
So,
sweet. Success.
yeah.
Kilter Brewing, everybody.
That's
Winnipeg,
right.
Winnipeg, Manitoba.
That's right. So when you come up here to Winnipeg, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
what can you can come to the Human Rights Museum and maybe get stabbed.
Yeah, if you want
I
to
mean-
come get stabbed, it's a great
Yeah.
place for that.
That's
But if you
like the
DM me
biggest
on
selling
Instagram,
feature.
I'll send you beer.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're gonna get way too many people from the States asking you for beers now.
This is just my con to get more followers.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Okay, my 80s Strat, older gentleman sold it. He was trying to sell it to me as a 79.
Yep.
So, like, pretty massive difference between those guitars. So
Yep.
right away, and I think I bought it when I was maybe 15 or 16.
Right.
But I did a little bit of searching, and it was like, okay, no, this is an 80s. And I mean, now, like,
Yep.
80s, right?
Yep.
And I was made to understand that the next number was the year in the 80s that it was released in.
I don't know. Is it? So is that an 84
I
then?
thought so.
That's what it's like with the 90s, at least.
Okay. All I know is it was marked as an 87 at the place I bought it from.
But I mean, you could always pop the neck off and take a look.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I paid $1,200 for it, loved it, but he put one of those like half-inch, like steel bridges that has like the little roller bars on it where you go over
yeah.
and under.
Yep.
So like cut out a massive chunk of the first fret.
Oh.
And yeah, it was just like, I couldn't use 52s on the
Right.
low end. The highest I could go was 48.9 or 48. So I ended up getting rid of it. And like looking back now, I wish I still had it, but I also like look at the trail of gear that I got, and I ended up getting my Jackson Ampworks amp.
Right.
Like, 10 trades down the line. So
Yeah.
can't complain, but
Yeah.
nice instrument. Like,
Yeah. I felt like I didn't have any, I don't think I had any Fender Strats anymore except for that American Ultra that Sean may have had still at the time. I have one other one. I have a 60th anniversary Strat that's red. Is it here or does Dan have it? I don't know.
It was at HD for a bit.
Yeah, so I might have another, but like none that I played. All the Strats that I have are made by somebody else, right? Besides Fender, and I was like,
Right.
you know what? I want just a
yeah.
straight up
You
USA
don't own any
Strat.
Sirs?
I don't.
I'm surprised you don't own any Sirs, actually.
Yeah,
Or a Sir.
I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble saying this. I've played lots of them. They're great instruments. I've played other builders that I preferred more.
I mean, it's a preference thing, man.
Yeah.
I don't blame you for
like,
that.
And I mean, maybe part of the problem was the ones that I was playing, like Sean's that I've played now are gorgeous. And Sean's uses a similar string gauge and setup to what I play and similar action, right? But like the first one I played was Joey's, which is set
Right.
up for slide with like 70 whatever. And I'm
million.
just like, this is awful. Like, I can't play this.
Totally.
And it's an open C. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, same with like Love the like Duesenberg star players. Don't have a Duesenberg.
I had a Paloma.
Okay.
Yeah, which is like HSS.
Yep.
Like it's only 4 selectors, not 5, but
Okay.
3 pickups. But that a guy had lent it to me indefinitely,
Nice.
and then he got divorced, and he asked
he had to sell
back.
it. Oh.
Yeah, that was the tough. I had that guitar for like 3 years, and then I had to give it back. Toughest pill to swallow. Great instrument, like that. That was a cool instrument. I still believe that the tremolo on those is one of my favorites out there. Like it is just
I've played
incredible.
half a dozen Duesenbergs. I've loved every one of the ones I've played. I've just never, to be honest, I don't buy a lot of stuff at retail. So like it just totally comes down to like, does something come up used somewhere? And honestly, the used market here has been like,
Pretty lame.
yeah, I mean, I'm used to getting stuff at, 50% off of its retail value, and now everything is like 80% of its retail value. And I'm like, I don't,
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
So, and clearly I don't need anything at this point, right? Like I have, I don't play sessions or do anything like that anymore. So even if I just want a specific sound for something, chances are something that we have here does it. Yeah, and I revert back to playing that Schecter Nick Johnson over everything else that I have. Like
That's a pretty sweet guitar.
yeah,
Though.
all of the time.
Yeah.
I do they have a new, Nick's got a Tele version that's
Cool.
like a humbucker in
With
the
the
neck.
wang neck.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Gosh, that's
I really want this.
Yeah.
But I gotta not spend money on stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So a couple of questions for you then. Like, do you have a piece of gear that kind of got away from you that you wish you hadn't gotten rid of?
Oh man. Do you feel like that's a long list for you? Because I do.
I would say it used to be, and
Right.
I've successfully bought back a lot of it.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, off the top of my head, so my AC15 hand wired
Yep.
with the Alnico Blue. It was one of the last British-made Alnico Blue speakers.
Yep.
And I can't say that I would hear the difference between the Chinese and the British. Like,
Right.
maybe I wouldn't. And I traded that and my Hendrix Strat for my Jackson Ampworks head and
Okay.
cab. So I'm really happy with my current amp, but like a lot of me misses that Vox amp. Like
Yep.
that was a pretty supreme amplifier. And just like that tone spoke to me as well, when you talk about like my Godin where it's just like, I don't know what it was. It just, that
Yep.
did it for me. And then this is a rough one, not super expensive, but like naive young me actually traded what was the Boss phasers? Was it like the PH2 or the P, like the original phaser back in the day, the whatever 2?
Yep.
That is worth a lot of money now.
Yep.
I traded that for this Chorus ensemble.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
I have this vile taste in my mouth now as I talk about it.
I sold a few guitars that I didn't get back. I have most of them though. I've been fortunate that I stopped playing live, so I didn't try to make a living as a musician, so I didn't have to sell or trade stuff. I would just kind of wait. And then, I mean, once I got involved with Rev, it snowballed very quickly to owning a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff I've got because people will want to buy an amp, can't afford it, and they're like, well, I got to sell this, before I can get it. Like I got that Mezzabarba amp, which is kind of like it's an Italian amp that's kind of like a SLO 100 style amp.
Okay.
And I got that because the dude was like, yeah, I want a generator, but I got to sell this Mezzabarba first. And I was like, well, hold on a minute. Like, we could probably work something out. I want one of those amps. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. Like, there's not a lot of people that could do that. Like, you couldn't do that for a Fender.
No.
But, like, this is a small amp business. Like, that's really rad.
Yep. So, and like, I had a Kemper for a little while because of that. And I've just gotten, like, the Schecter. Like, I would never, I mean, I see Andy's talking about that. Yeah, I got a message Schecter. We just sent Michael a Dynamis that he wanted, and part of that deal is that I'm supposed to get one of the new PT imports. I want the USA, not the import, because I'm like that. And because the USA is the one with the wenge neck, which is what I love.
Which is clutch, yeah.
But I got this because Michael from Schecter wanted a Generator 120. He's like, well, could I trade you for something? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, you know what? I really love the Nick Johnson Strat. They had just come out with the HSS version instead of the 3 singles. And I was like, I want an HSS, but no offense to Nick, but like the colors that they were offering on the stock NJs, I'm like one of the few people in the world that hates seafoam green for guitars.
Yeah, crazy.
And I mean, I love Carolina blue.
Right.
Like that's
That
like,
on the Dynamis over there.
yeah, that's my,
Or Generator, I guess, right?
yeah, that's my Gen 740.
Cool.
It's one of my favorite Tolex colors. And yeah, and I was like, man, I love that color, but for some reason I don't like seafoam. So
Yeah.
I had
Understandable.
said, and then the other color they were offering at the time was like Lamborghini orange. And I'm like, I don't want orange or seafoam.
Yeah.
So Michael was kind enough to be like, you know what, man, like we can custom paint something for you. These are the colors that we're running soon. You know, do you have any interest? And he told me about like whatever the white is called, like Arctic white or vintage white or
Right.
whatever it was. And I was like, yeah, man, do that with a black pickguard, and that's great. And it's
go.
yeah. So I've been fortunate that we've gotten a lot of stuff in trade. Like Mayones kindly gave us a guitar to use at NAMM one year, and we loved it. And they told us just to keep it and use it in videos. And we were like, okay, well, we'll send you an amp then to use in videos. So
course.
I've gotten a lot of stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
that white Telecaster that you played was
Right, yeah.
same deal.
With the torrefied neck.
Yeah,
That's so sick.
yeah. So that's been
For those of you that want to see this puppy,
yeah, it's killer. The battery's dead in it because I
Yeah.
don't charge my Fishmans enough.
look at that neck.
But
oh my god.
I've got a Strat with a torrefied neck from the same company. That the Strat is just killer, and it's actually got McNelly pickups. The Strat does,
Oh,
like
no
from
way, eh?
Ontario. And they sound great. So I got a bunch of stuff that I don't have out that I got to thin my herd a little bit. There's a lot of stuff I don't need. So soon you'll see half of my guitars up for sale on Reverb. So
You
but
can
yeah.
get one of those like famous reverb sales, like
Yeah.
like Derek Eastfeld from Rev Amps getting rid of his collection.
Yeah. And meanwhile, it's all the guitars that you could buy everywhere that are like, what? Why does he have a 2007 gold top traditional? No one wants this guitar with a 50s neck that's super uncomfortable. Yeah. So you're fired if you don't like seafoam. Yeah. Doug, you have one amp. You know what, man? I had one amp for most of the time that I played in a band.
Yep.
Like-
I basically it's a Victory,
Victory,
VC35 Deluxe. Doug,
Nice. Yeah.
that's killer, dude.
Yeah.
That's a
Nothing
sweet
wrong with
amp.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. My main amp is like I have my Fullerton, and
Yep.
then I have a 79 Pro Reverb
Yep.
that I don't use anymore. Like it's an amp that gets used for rehearsals at my place for the other guitar player, but that's it. Like I've got my Fullerton and that's it.
Yep.
And an MG10 Effects Marshall, which
Yep.
is just
Nice.
creme de la creme.
Yeah. Nice. We were talking about Line 6 spiders and like the Flex Tone 2 and all those fun amps over supper tonight. And I was like, man, you can't beat that when you're just getting started. You can't beat how that sounds. Which way am I going, this way?
I believe that way.
Yeah, if it's not, then, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so a couple other questions we got here. What's the number one lesson you think you've learned being in the music industry that kind of crosses over and applies to you in, you know, brew life or whatever you want to?
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, okay, gosh, one of them is like, don't be an ass.
Yeah.
You know, like the music industry, we know, like, Derek, we're not best pals.
No.
But like, we could probably list out 100 people that we know in
Yes.
the music scene or more. And I think that in itself speaks volumes. Like, be a good person. You
Yep.
know, like be nice, and you're not gonna be best friends with everybody, but like I think no matter how big these communities get, they always have a small town vibe.
Yeah.
And you know, like scratch each other's backs and take care of your neighbor and all that jazz. I think that's really important. And like honestly, for me, relationships come first.
Yep.
Like have a good relationship with people, and whether it's like if you're looking for gigs, I mean, you know, you got to be decent at music to get
Yeah.
gigs, but like be good and have good relationships. Gigs will come. With beer and beer sales, it's the same thing.
I've been fortunate that a lot of the people we've worked with and a lot of the people that I've met over the last, 6 or 7 years, especially down in Nashville, are like they'll have high profile gigs, right?
Right.
And the number one advice that they always give is that like your chops aren't nearly as important as how good of a hang you are, because you spend the majority of your time on the bus or waiting for planes or at rehearsal. So little time is actually spent doing the gig.
Yeah.
That it's more important that you're a good hang. And it's interesting that you know the kind of route that you're going with this, because I've been asked a lot of times, because I mean I've owned my own businesses for 16 years now or 17 years, and I've been asked a lot like what's your one piece of advice that you would give everybody, and my number one piece of advice that I give everybody is this: it's never underestimate the people that you meet and the relationships that you're going to make today and how they will pay dividends to you in the future that you have no idea about.
Right.
Because I started, like I've done lots of things. Like I've always had more than one job, is I guess what I should say. So I've been like a concert rigger and a stagehand alongside, owning a print company or teaching guitar lessons or, later on being with Rev. Well, the relationships that I started building as a concert rigger and stagehand, I had no idea that I was going to meet Dan and that Rev was going to start. And all of a sudden, these people that I've known at Dauphin Country Fest for the last 10 years are going to be like, well, man, bring all your stuff down here and show everybody.
Yeah.
Because, you just don't expect that. But exactly like you said, like if you're a bit of an ass to those people, or you're just not you're not a good dude or not a good hang, they have no desire to help you.
Totally.
With anything. And you have no idea when something like that's going to happen. Or, it's the same thing. We learned this lesson when Stobes and I were in a band. We got booked. There's this one day in particular. It's one of the days that I remember the most out of all the shows that we played, because we got booked to play 3 different shows on the same day, because it was back when they used to do 30-hour famine stuff for schools.
Yeah, for schools.
So we got booked to play at this drop-in center in Niverville at like 7 or 8 p.m. That's where I met John Paul Peters, because his band The Undecided was playing. I met my buddy Dan Thomas, who plays in The Undecided there.
Dan Thomas.
Yes.
Lives down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And plays in the Rippers.
Dan
right?
actually did a re-leveling on my telly on my frets recently.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. See? Small world that,
Lent me his Paisley telly, his 69
Oh,
Paisley
yeah.
telly.
I had his 64 Strat for way too long, and I was like, dude,
Please
I'm
take it
afraid somebody's going to break into my house and steal this, and I'm going to owe you 20 grand, so can you take this? And anyway, so this day that we played these shows, we had 3 shows. One was like at 7 o'clock, one was at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and then one was at 3 in the morning. Whoa. And we got to the 7 o'clock show. You remember this, Stobes? We were playing in Niverville, and there I think besides The Undecided, I think there was 3 people at this show. Oh, nice. And I was like, oh, this is going to be rough. And like our band wasn't big by any means, but like we would be playing for, the minimum was probably 50 to 100 people normally.
Which can be a really great crowd.
Yeah, so 3 is real tough to get through. But we played and we put on the same show, I think, that we would put on for, whatever crowd we were playing.
Right.
And the guy who had booked us was like, hey man, I'm sorry that like there wasn't a lot of people here tonight. I'm going to make it up to you guys later. And, like it was just really short notice. And we found out later that the reason that it was like that is he had booked us really short notice because we played in the Christian music industry mostly. So he was booking a bigger show for a band called 1,000 Foot Crutch that was coming through Winnipeg that was pre-sold out with like 800 kids. So because we played this show, he called me the next week and was like, I'd like you guys to open this show. And that, of course, springboarded a ton of stuff for us with our band. And even for Rev, I met Sean Tubbs because the lead singer from 1,000 Foot Crutch and I became friends at that show. And
no way.
He is good friends with Mike Fisher, who's married to Carrie Underwood.
Right.
And like, so you see how like all these things end up connecting. That because I played literally I can say it now, like a dog shit show in Niverville, Manitoba in the early 2000s.
Best soft serve in Manitoba, Niverville Co-op.
Yes. My man. Yeah. My kids will love you now. And like, yeah, because of that, I met Trevor McNevin from Thousand Foot Crutch. A bunch
Wow.
of cool stuff happened for my band because of that. And then later on in life, I met Sean Tubbs because Trevor was like, man, you got to meet my friend Sean, and then connected me with Sean. And here we are, the Tilt Overdrive exists. And like a lot of our gear is, you know, voiced because of Sean. So man,
Yeah.
I love your answer to that question.
Thanks,
because
man.
it is the most true advice. And I mean, like, as if there's not better, karmic advice, or however you would say it.
Right.
Then, like, just don't be an ass.
Yes.
Like, just
Yeah.
be cool.
Yeah.
Treat everyone well. So,
Yeah, of course.
So, one other question is, why do you think guitarists and beer go so well together?
Okay. Well, outside of the like alcoholic based answers.
Yeah.
I mean, social. It's social, right? Like booze is social, and I mean music. Like, it's not. Maybe it's not. Guaranteed social. A lot of people play music alone in their basement and whatnot.
Yeah.
But for me, like, man, I started gigging when I was 11.
Wow.
Yep, playing the fiddle.
Yep.
With a band. We were called the Woodknots.
Nice.
So there was like a 7-year-old piano player, and Frank played the bass. He was 80, and Jim played the guitar, and I played the fiddle in old folks' homes with these guys. And like, you know, it's just like it's social. What do you do? You talk to your band, you have fun with your band, and then between sets you talk to the crowd.
Yep.
And that has been a constant like my entire life. Whether it was like, you know, opening up for Dallas Smith at the Club Regent. What
Yeah.
do? You finish the set and like you go out into the lobby and you're talking to people. And then now it's like playing at the King's Head on a Monday night for a Royal LePage private party. And like, what do? You go and talk to the realtors between sets. Like,
Yep.
it's just social. And like, what is alcohol other than a social lubricant?
Yeah.
You know? So it's very much that. But it's funny, like people in the beer scene in Winnipeg, there's a bunch of people that sell beer. Andrew Sukram is a local brewer. He owns
Yep.
a brewery called Sukrams, and Andrew's a music guy.
Yeah.
Steve Nelson plays in a band called Clipwing.
Yep.
And Steve-O and I met through the beer industry. He's the manager of a local beer vendor, and like we met like that, and then just became super tight buddies because like, oh, you play music?
Yeah.
No way. So like, I don't know that I could like list out what the exact reasons are that these things run in parallel lines, but they certainly do, and
Yeah.
I'm really, really thankful for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that like the fact that like, especially the craft beer scene, and if you're involved in that in any way, shape, or form, either as somebody who works in it or just somebody who's really into it, I think it gets kind of like, it's like devotee fan base that is kind of the same as what we are with gear, right? And that's part of why they go so well together, is that like,
Gear nerds and beer nerds, baby.
exactly, like you're constantly looking for like, okay, what's the next cool thing that I don't know about?
Yeah.
All right, so last question I'm going to ask you, which I should have asked way earlier, is, so what would you say makes Kilter unique compared to like, you know, not
Other
to
breweries.
pitch you against non-such or any,
Right.
but like
Yeah.
the other Winnipeg brewers?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. Like Kilter, what was cool about Non-Such is there was just this beautifully crafted story behind why the brewery was built.
Okay.
When I was selling there, I had this great, almost like ledger and like legend and story to tell about why Non-Such was Non-Such. This
Yep.
love story to Manitoba, and then going to Kilter, like it's almost the polar opposite in that, where it's just like it's three brothers and
Yep.
their dad that had a passion for craft beer and were like, let's just do this thing.
Nice.
And they have the experience, and they have this, like, between the four of them, there's just this massive gamut of experience. Miguel, the brewer, head brewer, brewmaster, if you will, he spent time in BC brewing at Bridge Brewing, so has like this really amazing knowledge of brewing beer, and then also being out west, you know, has the knowledge of a craft beer scene that is much more developed than Manitoba.
Right.
Julian was in real estate, so has this really great sales experience and is, you know, able to run the business in that sense, where it's just like forward moving, like let's sell more beer, which has now been passed on to me, of course, in the sales role. Jarek, who I graduated with, a good buddy of mine in high school, he does all the bookkeeping. And then their father, Leo, who was a business owner.
Yep.
So just has like the life experience of someone that owned and ran a business. And like, it's just this, outside of the fact that it's a passion project, it's a family project.
Right.
Like, you know, mom comes in once or twice a week, waters the flowers. Julian's wife came in and helped prepare for the event. Their dad is building this, like, we're doing this festival this weekend called Berliner Fest.
Okay.
And it's a 90s Berlin beer fest.
Nice.
And they built, like, a fake Berlin wall.
Nice.
And, like, they had the dad in there who's got his tools and, like, is in there building. So it's just, like, you know, the passion just, like, bleeds through everywhere. You just see it. It's people that are just, like, excited to be doing what they're doing. The beer scene is fun. Just like the amps, like, how could you not be so thankful for, like, working with gear?
I know. Yeah. Like, it's funny because there are a lot of people who think that, like, working here or, you know, doing what we do is, like, nonstop sitting and playing guitar and having fun. And, like,
Classic.
it's the polar opposite of that. And it's funny, like, I told you before, like, Luke at his test station, like, Luke doesn't use a guitar to test pedals. He uses a looper pedal because otherwise guitar players sit and noodle for way too long and it would take 30 minutes to test every single pedal and we would never get any pedals out.
Literally.
And like, you know, I've had lots of friends that are like, oh, you must love this. You get to play guitar all the time. And I'm like, legitimately, the only time I play guitar is now. Like on our live stream, I'm like, this is my... Or if a new product comes in that Dan's designed, that it's like, hey, I need you to try this. And even then the guys will attest to my time sitting down with it is 15, 20 minutes of like, let me feel it, let me hear it, and let me give you my feedback.
Quick vibe.
And then, then back to, I got a boatload of emails and other management stuff that needs to be done, or strategy stuff that needs to be done. So it's crazy because you end up working a ton. But you couldn't be happier because it is the most fun thing to do because it's, you know, it's like I've been doing this, like playing with pedals and playing with guitars since I was 10 or 11 years old, right? And to be in a position where you can do it for a living is just killer. And I really love the fact that, I mean, I get to see a decent amount of the world doing this, but I don't have to be on tour. Which is really great.
Or in a van.
I never minded that, man. Like when I was in a band, that was always kind of the funnest thing. But what I couldn't take is like I've done a couple of stints where I've been gone for like 2 to 3 weeks for work, and I'm like, that's
you start to miss home, you miss your bed, you miss your kids, like
exactly. You get to the point where you're just like, really, like,
totally, man.
And I know guys that like legit go on tour. Well, Sammy just went out with Dallas and was gone for. He had to have been gone 6 weeks almost in total. And I'm like, you saw home for 1 day in 6 weeks.
The thing is like I could, let's say I wasn't married and didn't have a child, just Logan, like I could do that nomadic thing, but like, man, I'm gone for like 2 days and I'm like, I miss my wife and I miss my daughter so much. It's almost cheesy, but it's like, those are just the things that change, right? Like, I mean, the idea of tour to me, like, I'll sit in a cramped van and just hang out and then play and then hang out some more.
I would not do it now. I was happy to do it when I was in my early 20s, before I was married and before I had kids. And now I like not doing that.
But like, look what you get to do now, right?
I know.
Like,
and I still love traveling. Like when we go to NAMM or anything like that, it's 2 weeks by the time we go there and go back. And I do my best to try to bring my wife and kids with me to as many things as I can. Like I spent 5 weeks in Nashville this year before the launch of the Tilt with Sean and Travis, our head of sales. And like I just rented a Airbnb and told my wife, like, this is what we're doing. We're going here. Like,
come on down.
Load up the kids. Let's go. And and I'm fortunate that I can do that at this point. But So, well, man, it was awesome having you on here. And
thanks for having
hanging out and I'm not shitting you. I'm probably gonna go buy some of those diamond pedals.
If you can find them, my friend.
I'm gonna see what I can find. I like that. Yeah, I like that delay. I like the fact that it's simple, right?
Yeah, but it has a tap,
Yeah.
which is clutch, right?
I'm.
And then if you hold it, it doubles your tap,
Oh, nice.
and then signals.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I also like that your reverb that you had there, and I'm interested that like somebody else said that they bought the
If 6 was 9.
6 was 9.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Couple
look for some of
Canadian
those.
makers. It's so
I know.
funny. Like that was totally not
And-
by design.
And now both you and like whoever who mentioned it has me thinking that I need to have like some sort of Canadian-made guitar. So
Yeah.
I got to see like besides Godin, who is there that does electrics?
That are actually built here. I don't know that I. Beard Cell.
Beard
out
Cell?
of Winnipeg, right? Al Beard Cell.
Prestige.
Yes.
I mean they're CNC'd overseas, but they're built here.
Jeremy Hamtone.
Hamtone.
Right.
Yep. Those are local dudes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, local guys. I don't know really.
What's it? Oh, man, I'm gonna mess it up. Whatever Joey's guitar, his gold. Have you seen his gold top?
Yes.
Les Paul. That's
yeah.
like
Yes. That.
It's
is
built
it
in Edmonton.
Sorokin. Sorokin. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, those are built in Edmonton.
That also has made me. Gush
Seagull
more,
makes
so.
acoustics. Yeah.
Seagull is the same own company as Godin.
Yeah, and
Norman.
there's a number of really great acoustic builders. What's
Jesse McConnell.
yeah, McConnell.
Yeah. Jordan McConnell. Sorry,
Jordan.
Jordan McConnell. Yeah.
They're like 20 grand, aren't they?
Wow, the work
But,
that
like-
guy does is insane.
Yeah.
And he played with the Dukes forever.
Yep.
Right?
Nice.
Or the Ducks? The Ducks, the Dukes. I can't recall.
There's him, and I was trying to. Man, I wish I could remember the name. There's a guy
Not in Winnipeg, right?
Nope, there's a guy in Regina.
Okay.
I'm not gonna remember his name right now, but he built the nicest acoustic that I had played next to like one of the like 90s La Revees that I have ever played. I wish I could remember the name of. Wish I could remember his name. Really great guitarist. If Mitch is still watching from Regina, let me know. He's got like a little shop where he does like repairs, and he was like building guitars for like Colin James and guys like
Whoa.
that. So yeah, killer stuff. Oh, I wish I could remember what it's called. Nicest feeling neck I had felt on an acoustic that wasn't like a Taylor in
Right.
a long time.
Really,
But-
eh?
But I have a few acoustics and I never ever play them. So,
Yeah, it's funny, eh? Like I'll play an acoustic. Actually, I've been for artists I've been playing with lately. I've been charting on acoustic
okay.
because I've got like 12 to 56s on my Martin.
Yeah.
I've got a super Jamoke like DCX 1RE Martin. It's like composite back and sides, Sitka spruce
Okay.
top. Nothing crazy, but I've had it for 10 years. It sounds all right. But it's just nice. Like I'll sit at the kitchen table with my
Yeah.
computer in front of me and chart, and it's like you force yourself to play on thicker gauge strings. And then when I transfer out of my telly or something, it's just like easier to
Butter.
play.
Yeah, yeah. I that's a guitar. Like one of my buddies. He was actually their first AR guy that worked for Rev back in like 2015. Is now one of the Martin AR reps in Nashville, and I've been wanting to get a D28.
Just go
Like-
like straight up classic.
Yeah, like I don't have any dreadnoughts. I have.
Me neither.
I've got 3 Taylors. I've got an 814, and then I've got a cool guitar.
814. What's the back and sides on that? Like, is that Indian rosewood on that, or is it something way crazier?
I have no idea.
Okay.
You're asking the wrong person.
Slot headstock?
I don't know.
Is there holes, long slots in the headstock?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I know it has a
Sweet guitar though.
It has a spruce top because your dad's has a cedar top. It's
Cool.
a 714, and that top is way too soft on your dad's. Like, and then I've got an 8-string baritone acoustic from Taylor that they made for like just a couple of years. That is just unbelievable.
You're a big Taylor guy. I'm
Yeah.
getting now.
I just love the feel of Taylor's necks.
They are really nice. I have one of the walnut GS Minis.
Nice.
That I got when I was working at Quest.
Nice. I don't like the expression system. I think it
No,
sounds terrible.
me too.
But
But
I think it feels unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I would like to get for the times I never play acoustic guitar. I would
Right.
love to have a Martin, but
it's
I gotta get my buddy Jason to hook me up. Lochin Guitars in Oakville. What are those? Electrics, David? I don't know what I would want. Like if I just want another like S-type or T-type guitar or what. I mean, that's what I gravitate towards.
Yeah, eh?
Yeah. I didn't for a long time. Like I played Wolfgangs and stuff like that for a long time, and I've always been a big PRS fan. So
As I can
by,
see.
by the
Yeah.
time I do have that single cut, and then I have the platinum single cut. I traded that platinum PRS. I had a Gibson SG that I traded for that because I hate the SGs.
Oh, it's funny you say that. I was just about to say, like, you know what? I always would want an SG, but
Yeah.
like the Maestro tremolo system, aesthetically is the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Practically is
Not.
basically garbage.
Yeah, I just hate neck dive. So, did we lose the stream? So, what's that? Just for a sec. Okay.
Maybe just a bit.
So, yeah. Whoops. So, low scene is okay. Or leucine?
Lucine.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to see what was available. If there's any Canadian guitar makers watching this, you're saying Flying V? I had a Flying V for a while. I got rid of it. I had an Explorer too. The Flying V was like, I place it down all the time. Flying V sucks for that so much.
Yeah.
But the Explorer that I had, I shouldn't, like, talking about gear that got away.
Yeah.
The Explorer is one of the guitars that I regret selling.
What was the finish on it? Like the classic mahogany?
It was black and white. Oh. And I had a matching Flying V. They were from the 90s or early 2000s. They both stayed in tune with no problems. And the Explorer, do you remember when I had the Explorer? Like, yeah, the Explorer sounded just unbelievably good.
Who
And
do you think of when you think of an Explorer?
Oh, James Hetfield.
Okay, so
Like-
I think of the Edge.
Okay.
And I had a major U2 phase. And
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I'm buying
Yeah.
buying an Explorer tomorrow. Never did. Probably good because like I basically play country now. So.
Yeah.
And those are massive guitars, aren't they?
Yeah. The case was huge and it was super heavy. That was part of the reason I was like, eh. But now I feel stupid that I got rid of it. But I still gravitate towards Strats. I mean, like,
I mean 2 and 4. Like those pickup selections on a Stratocaster, like to me there's nothing more iconic than that sound. Like the Sultans of Swing Tone. Right?
Derek, you've never had a Les Paul Jr., hey?
no, I haven't.
That's weird.
Like single
I know.
P90 Les Paul Jr.
I don't think I have a guitar. Do I have a guitar with P90s in it? I have that real
The Jazzmaster.
the jazz. I don't.
Those are so bars though, right? Like this thing.
Yeah, that neck's too fat on that guitar. That's not my.
These are these considered P90s though?
I don't know.
I wouldn't consider them.
I don't play that guitar at all.
So bar.
Like,
So bar. You got a Maestro system on here though,
I
right?
don't know. I don't play the guitar ever. That's one of the guitars I got from Sean that I'm like
Iconic.
eh. Yeah, Iconic makes really great stuff. They make a lot of really good Strats and Super Strats. I know Bo loves that guitar, like from like Bohus.
Yeah, but doesn't
Here.
Bo play a Jazzmaster at some point?
Yeah,
I feel like I've
Yeah.
seen him play a
Yeah,
Jazzmaster. We played a
so-
show together years ago. And
Nice.
I remember that.
it's a good guitar. It's just it's weird. The neck is fat and wide, which I like the Tele neck there that's fat but it's
not
narrow,
wide.
right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I guess I need something like that, but
Well, you don't need anything,
I mean,
but you want it.
yeah. I also need. Sean has a Les Paul online that's amazing. Oh, you have great 80s and 90s Taylor's acoustics if you want. I mean, I'm happy with the Taylors that I have, but what do you have for Taylors, Andy? I don't know. I'm old as balls now. I like Strats. Les Pauls and PRS is like that PRS is so nice.
It really is.
Yeah. All right, right. You guys have any other questions for Logan or I? Because, man, it's been 2 hours.
Sit and noodle
Thank you guys
till the
for-
cows come home.
Yeah. And talk about the gear that we wish we had. What are the guitars you guys wish you guys had? I mean, Luke, you're right. I do need an Explorer.
I also want an Explorer.
Yeah? What do you want for an Explorer?
Just a Gibson. Like,
Nice.
literally any
Just
color.
straight up.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Andy, you got some kick-ass Taylors. 915s. Shit. Those are...
An 87 915. Holy Hannah.
Yeah. I have a 12 string as well, but mine's like the 400 series. I don't know which one it is.
400 would be Ovencall back and sides, right? Cedar top, I think, or spruce top.
You worked at a music store. It is very evident. I have no idea.
I
just
think,
know that
anyways.
it's a 12 string Taylor. The neck feels great and it sounds awesome. But yeah,
So
found them
funny.
for deals. Andy, you're in Minneapolis, aren't you? Dude, I bought 2 of my Taylors in Minneapolis because for some reason there was this dude in Minneapolis that was buying them. Like, he had a friend who owned a shop, and they would buy like Taylor Roadshow guitars and like crazy high-end ones.
Cool.
But he would then give them to his buddy. His buddy would sell them on Craigslist for like just above cost, because in order to keep his Taylor distributorship to, or Taylor like, I don't know what you call it, like license to sell Taylor, he had to do like a certain dollar value per year. But
Right.
all he really sold in his shop were like the entry level stuff. So he would buy these high-end guitars and then turn around and sell them through this dude, because I bought my 814. No, first I bought the 8-string baritone, and I bought it through this guy. And then the next time I was in Minneapolis, because I used to go to Minneapolis a lot, you know, especially before we had IKEA here. My wife would be like, let's go to Minneapolis and buy furniture.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, okay, cool, I'm going to buy a guitar. And I'd just watch Craigslist and see what I could find for cheap, because you used to be able to get, like, I bought like my 410 DeVille that I had.
Cool.
I bought it for like $250 or $300.
And it's just like average 410 DeVille. It's nothing
Yeah,
special.
USA made though.
Oh,
like,
cool.
Like yeah. I mean, I got rid of it, but I bought 3 of them at like over the course of like a year or two, because for some reason back in like the early 2000s to mid 2000s, you could buy shit on Craigslist in Minneapolis for way too cheap. I remember buying like PRS Custom 22 for like $1,000. That like you'd never be able to get that up here. No, and then this guy had Taylors though. Like, so I bought my first one from him, and like it was retailing at like close to 4,000 US, and I bought it for $2,100. And I was like, there's no way. Like this 8-string baritone, like they're so hard to find, right? So I like went right away as soon as I saw he had it. I'm like, I'm going to buy this. And then later on, I was down, and I see that there's this 814, and I call the guy, and I'm like, this is the same dude. And I showed up at his house, and he had like 6 Taylors from the Roadshow, and I was like, what is going on here? And then he told me, he's like, well, my friend. And I'm like, what a scam. Like, I'm like, but I bought like the 814s at the time were nearly $4,000, like $36.99 or something like that.
Right.
And again, I
Yeah.
bought it for like 18 or 19.
Oh,
and
that's
they're
hard
like
to say
so
no to.
cheap. Yeah. So those days are gone though.
Yeah,
Reverb exists now.
Well, yeah, that's just it. Like it's almost impossible to find a steel now,
Yeah.
unless you're buying it from like some Amish person in the countryside.
You gotta find somebody like that. They've had this guitar for their whole lives, and they know you, and they decide, oh, did you want to buy this guitar?
Right. Do you follow Vintage Guitar? It's this guy on Instagram that like does like guitar safaris.
No, but you're gonna laugh at me. I don't use Instagram at all.
Okay, whatever,
Like-
that's fine.
I'm old. I use Facebook.
Yeah,
like an
totally.
old person.
Totally, yeah. Yeah.
Much to everybody's laughter.
Chagrin.
Yeah.
This guy, I can't recall his name. He's got a shop called Vintage Guitar, I think, in the States. And he's just like a committed guitar safari guy, similar to like Bonamassa or whatever.
Yep.
But he buys these guitars and he'll sell them usually. So like recently he goes on Instagram and tells a story about how like this kid wanted to start playing guitar, and his grandma's like, oh, I have an old guitar in the closet that you could use. And it turns out it was a 58 Les Paul standard, like Sunburst, and
Wow.
like in closet condition.
Yeah.
So like that's one of the guitars that he bought, but it's just this never-ending list of like just ridiculously sought after instruments, like an old Trini Lopez 335, and like his stories are just amazing. And I'm sure he's giving these people relatively fair market value, so we can still make money off of them.
Yeah.
But like, you know, like it was like a freaking all original 54 Strat, and like.
Wow. Okay, I got 2 fun stories about that. One is growing up in Carmen, Manitoba.
Canada.
Canada, yeah, in the middle of Canada. I worked at a really tiny music store / school, and actually Stobes and I both worked there.
Stobes a Carmen boy too?
Yeah.
No way.
Originally Elm Creek though, so.
Oh,
like,
Elm Creek.
like-
My parents almost bought Ma's Drive-In.
Nice.
Oh
yeah.
my God, this is hilarious.
So, so we worked at this store, and one day, one day I'm working, and this dude in his like 80s walks in, carrying the brown or black like molded like chainsaw case, and I see it, and I'm like, all right, like, here comes something fun, right? And he's like, I'd like you to ring string my guitar for me. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'm like, can we take a look? And I'm like, yeah. And I open it up, and I'm like, oh, and it was a 1952 gold top Les Paul with like flat rounds. It had the headstock broken off and reset. It looked like a finish crack. And I was like, I looked at it.
What's the tailpiece on that? Was that like the long tailpiece or the wraparound?
It's the trapeze. Like,
Oh, right, okay.
Like,
Yeah.
if you get one, they're like impossible to play.
And still $500,000.
What? No, the 52s were like, they were way less. They were like 20
Really?
to like 40. Well, back then it was like 15, 20 grand. Like, this is in the late 90s.
Oh, I see.
So anyway, so like I opened it up and I look at it, and I was like, I think I was like 17 at the time or 18 at the time, and I'm like, what year is this? And he's like, I bought this guitar new in 1952. And I was like, and I knew enough to be like, that's the first year the Les Paul was manufactured. And I'm like, all right. The crazy thing was, this guy's name was Clifford Gibson. His last name was Gibson. Yeah. He had bought this guitar, and so I was like, are you sure you want me to restring it? And like, it was very evident that he couldn't play anymore. Right. And I was like, he's like, yeah. So the guy who owned the store was the music teacher at the high school. So I like called because it was the morning, and I was like, tell him to call me over his lunch hour. So he calls me like, what's up? I'm like, you got to come down here right away. I'm like, you know, it's Carmen, it's tiny, right? I'm like, you got to come down here.
You'll be here
in
30 seconds.
I'm like, somebody brought in a 52 Les Paul. He's like, I'll be there right away. And he brings one of the other teachers, and they come down. And the other teacher was like a vintage guitar nut. And I was like, he wants me to restring it and set it up. He's like, don't you fucking touch this thing. He's like, you're going to ruin it. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. He's like, well, at least get flat wounds and put flat wounds on it. I'm like, okay. So I reset it, strung it, set it up as best as I could. And I called him, and I'm like, hey, you know, Clifford, your guitar's ready to go. And he's like, would you like to keep it and play it for a little bit? And I was like, yes. Like right away. And I had it for a month.
Oh, that's
and I was
too
like,
bad.
You know what? Like, I called him, and I was finally like, hey, I'm like, are you looking to sell this? And he's like, no, you know, I'm not interested in selling it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, as much as I would love to keep playing it, I'm like, you need to pick it up because like our insurance won't cover if this gets stolen because we can't replace it for you. I'm like, so, you know, so I ended up like sending it back to him. And it, like, again, it was not a good guitar to play. Like it, yeah. But like unbelievable history and like just so much fun to be able to have for a minute. And like
hold
I told
that
him,
in your hand.
Yeah,
like,
I told him, I'm like, I'm 18, I don't have any money, but like I'll go get a bank loan right now. I'll give you $5,000 for it. And because it had the headstock snapped off, he told me that Long McQuaid had offered him $4,000. And I'm like, I'll give you $5,000 and like, you know, just so I can have it and say that I've got one. And and like nothing happened with it, and like his kids didn't play guitar, so I know he's passed away since then because this was 20 years ago, and he was 80s. He was 82, I think, when he brought it in. But I was like, man, I'm like, my mom still knows his son, and I'm like, I should tell my mom to like phone him and be like, you still got your dad's guitar, or like what's going on? And I never do, but Yeah, but like, so that was that was the only cool story that I've had where I got to play vintage instruments. I know some other cool ones, like growing up in Carmen, same thing. There was this dude that, he was older, like when I was 20, he was probably 40 something or around 40, named Ernie Enns, and he played in a country band that would always play like, the Carmen Potato Blossom Festival or whatever. Ernie was, always playing a telly in a country band, right? Which I never really asked him what year his telly was, and I should have, because it was the 90s. So chances are that telly, I should probably reach out to him and be like, what's up, Ernie? How's that telly? Anyway, he was telling me a story about he was playing at church one Sunday, and this little old lady comes up to him after service and was just like, I really, really love how you play the guitar, and, when my husband passed, he had a guitar, and I'd really love for you to come by the house to, check it out, and, I think maybe you should have it, and why don't you come by? And he's like, oh, great, I'm going to go pick up some, like...
Harmony.
Yeah, exactly, like, just old piece of crap. He shows up at this lady's house, and I'm going to screw it up, but I'm pretty sure it was a 52 Martin D28, that she was just like, I think you should have this. He's like, I can't take this. This guitar's worth $10,000.
Yeah.
And this is in the 90s. And she was just like, my husband would really appreciate that you're using it for the Lord's work and playing at church. So if you promise me that you'll play it at church whenever I'm there, I think you should have it. And he's like, well, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And he took it, and he's like, I played that guitar. He's like, it killed me. He's like, I took it to church every Sunday in case she was there. He's like, and the day she passed away, I took it home, and it never left my house.
Never left.
Yeah. And I was like, wow. So,
Crazy, man. Those are sweet stories, though, where it's just like, it's like, I hope that still happens. Because there's a lot of people now that can pick like Joe Bonamassa, that can just like pick that gear up, and I don't blame you for doing that. If I was in a position that I could, I would too. But like, those are wholesome stories.
Do you want to hear a not wholesome story that I know about that?
Well, I suppose.
All
I
right,
have to.
so for everybody, so the Blue Telly that you were playing with is a Bluesman vintage guitar. Bluesman Vintage is based out of Spring Hill, Tennessee. John Scott is the owner of Bluesman, and I was at the Dallas Guitar Show with him, where he told me this story. So I don't know if he was bullshitting me or not, but I have no reason to believe that he was. So kid
Sweet
comes
guitar.
into one of his buddies owned a shop. Okay? Kid shows up, says, I got my grandpa's guitar, and I want to trade it for
A Line
some
6
gear.
Spider.
No. He opens it up. It's a 59 Burst Les Paul. Okay?
Ooh, okay.
So the guy opens
And this
it up.
is in what year?
This
Roughly.
in the 2000s.
Okay.
Like maybe
Okay.
post 2010. Like it's worth, at the time it was worth an easy $250,000.
For sure.
Okay? So guy shows up and says that wants to trade the guitar, right? And guy looks at it, like the owner looks at it, checks it out, verifies that it's real, and puts it back in the case, says, okay, what do you want for it? And this kid was a metal kid, so the guy had an Ibanez Universe, like the 7-string, like Korn guitar. He's like, I want that 7-string, like that 7-string. He's like, all right, what else would you like? And he's like, you mean I can get more? He's like, you can have almost anything in the shop. What else would you like? He's like, well, I want that Mesa Boogie half stack. And he's like, you want the full stack? 2 4 toes. He's like, yeah. He's like, what else would you like? He's like, can I get some pedals? He's like, yeah. And he picks like 5 or 6 pedals that he wants. And he's like, you happy with that? The kid's like, yeah, that's good. And he's like, all right. Do up the paperwork. Kid leaves. The guy sold the guitar the next day for $250,000. Gave the kid like maybe $10,000 or $12,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
And when I heard this story, I was like, that shop owner, like Karma's gonna get that guy, and like
really
what a
hope so.
douchebag. I'm like, the kid could have paid for his first house like back then with that money. And
Like that is almost not set for life in the sense that you have a lottery, but like you could set yourself up pretty nicely.
yeah, and I mean, John was like, you know what, man? He's like, that kid walk into my shop, I do the same thing to him. And he's like, and the reason why is the internet exists, and if he doesn't
too.
want to take the time to take a look at what he has, and I was like, screw that, man.
Right.
I'm like, tell the kid you'll half the money with them.
Yeah.
And take 125,000.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other interesting one I have is when I bought, talking about Minneapolis and buying gear, when I bought my custom 22 that I had, which I did get rid of, and I don't regret getting rid of it. It had like bad neck dive, like the SG, because it had a chambered body. But yeah, I bought this PRS, and the guy that I bought it from had been selling a bunch of guitars because he was moving, and they wanted to buy a new house. And he was telling me that he had just sold 69 Telly, like a couple days before, or 66 or somewhere like old, right? And he's like, I got 14,000 for it. And I was like, wow. He's like, you know the funniest thing? He's like, up until 5 years ago, which I bought this guitar in like 2013, maybe 2014, somewhere around there. He's like, you know, the thing is, he's like, my family had been putting this guitar out at a garage sale. He's like, up until 5 years ago, my family put this out at garage sales for the last 8 years for $100, and no one bought it. 60s Telecaster, and he later sold it for 14 grand. And I was like, you shouldn't have sold it. I was like, you're gonna regret selling that, dude. If you play it all, you're gonna regret it. But
Gosh, man.
can you imagine, like, and that's in like they were doing that in the 2000s. I'm like, how, like, eBay exists. How are you not, you know? So
The thing is like, if you're not into guitars, you're not gonna go like, oh, this is old, it's got value. You're gonna go, oh, it's an old guitar, like, let's see what we can get for it.
Yeah.
At the garage sale.
I know, I gotta find somebody like that that's like,
A buddy of mine got an early 60s Mustang
yeah,
for $200 at a garage sale. But I mean, those are still only worth like, whatever, 5 grand or something like that.
still.
Right? But like, that's a huge find.
Oh, huge. Sammy and I were talking about that because we got a video idea that I'm not going to tell everybody about, but it, you know, involves needing to go to either pawn shops or go to, you know, garage sailing or something like that. And I'm like, I don't know if it'll work because I don't know if any of that stuff happens anymore, right? Like, how do you?
It's just like the percentage of you having that happen to you is just so small now.
Yeah. Because most people know what they have. And actually, unfortunately, most people think they have something
More.
better than what they actually have. But, you know, it is what it is.
It is, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Doug, 30% commission is still $70K for free. Yeah. I agree. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
man.
like, you know, what goes around comes around. And,
Yep.
you know, you do something like that, and in a few years, something bad's going to happen to you. I'm not into that.
Oh, David says you and Sam should be called Manitoba Pickers.
Yeah, nice. Not quite that. Yeah. I every now and then I watch to see if anybody's ever selling gear at garage sales. I think I've seen it like in 20 or 30 years. I think I've seen it happen like once where I've seen a guitar and it's always a pile of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a Patagonia fleece for $5 at a garage sale recently. Vintage.
Nice.
This is a good find.
Yeah.
Not a vintage guitar though.
No. I've found like most of the time that I've gone to garage sales, I'll see pedals every now and then, but they're always like the shittiest pedals you can imagine, like some sort of cheap plastic pedal from the 80s that you've never heard of, and they want $45 to $80 for it, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's like, I'll give you $3 for
exactly,
this thing.
like,
Yeah.
does it work? I don't know. Well, great.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
I've gotten really lucky on like Kijiji for our American friends. That's our version of Craigslist. I've gotten really lucky where I got some really crazy good pedal deals by fluke where like somebody was selling like a batch of like, they had like 13 pedals and they wanted 350 or $400 and I was like, all right. And it turned out there was like a Big Muff, like an original Big Muff in it.
That's
and
cool.
An original Rat and like some cool shit in it. And I paid next to nothing for the lot.
Yeah.
So my favorite one though was, I mean, the kid will never be watching this, I doubt, but I bought, this kid had a pedal train with like the road case, like the big pedal train.
Yeah.
He was selling it with the Pod, or the Pog 2, the Electro Harmonix.
Okay.
Pog
I was
2.
like, Pod, really? Wow.
No. He was selling it with that, and it
Pog
had,
2 is like $380 brand new now, isn't it?
yeah, and he had a Crybaby and a Jekyll and Hyde, and I can't remember what else. There was like
How recent was this?
not that recent, but like within the last like 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
And this kid, it was like retail, all of the shit was worth like $1,500.
Right.
And he had listed it for like 700, and like a dick, I just lowballed at like,
Five?
no, I was like 350. And he called me. I thought he was just gonna shoot it down, because I said like, I'll give you 350, but I don't want the
XYZ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he came back. He's like, you know what, man? You know what? If you give me 325, I think I said $300, and he said, if you give me 325, I'll do it. So I was like, okay, sure. So I met the dude, and I'm like, why are you selling all your stuff? And he's like, well, it's like my girlfriend's moving to BC, and I'm like moving out there to like follow her. And I'm like, oh, dude, no. Like, that chick's moving to get away from you. And guess what? Like, you're selling all your shit for way too much money, or way too little money. Yeah. So yeah, I've had a couple of like good deals like that, but
yeah, me too over the years.
Nothing like, you know.
No grand slams.
No.
Dude, it's so rare, man. Like,
I know.
oh, and I mean, like this whole Les Paul thing with that guy. Like, you're a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah,
but like,
dude.
it's about finding something in between where it's like, if you want to sell me your whatever 68 Telly that's worth like, it's player grade, let's say it's worth $7,000, and you have it for $300 at your garage sale, like, I don't know that I would feel so guilty buying that.
I wouldn't.
In this day and age, like, literally all you need to do is look up vintage Telecaster, and you'll get some idea that it's worth more than $100.
If you list it for sale and list the price, and I buy it, apart from it's a like
a
it's the holy
crazy
it's the
piece.
holy grail that's
Right.
worth $50,000.
Yes, yeah.
Otherwise, you do that, and like, I'm game. Like, I bought a Lucille years ago,
No way.
and they listed it for $1,500, and I went and tried it. It's a great guitar. I was in Edmonton, and I went and played it, but like, a lot of finish cracking and
Yeah.
stuff, and it wasn't that old. Like, it's like 97-ish.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know. It's in rough shape. I'm like, I might just pass. And it turned out that the people that were selling it, it was a woman that her dad had passed away, and it was his guitar, and she had that and a couple of like older acoustics that she was getting rid of. And I was already, I wasn't with Rev yet. And I just said, you know, like, it's a great guitar. I'm like, I'm mostly buying stuff to collect, and because it's got a lot of wear and tear. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do it, you know.
Right.
But thanks. And like $1,500 for Lucille in Canadian dollars is a good deal. And they came back and they were like, would you give us $1,200? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And I bought it for $1,200, which is cheap for Lucille.
Yep.
For sure.
And I don't feel bad about that, but
No, I mean, gosh, that's...
Sorry, there's one on Kijiji that was posted 2 days ago for $7,000.
for a Lucille,
Yeah, 95.
it's got to be in better shape than mine.
Oh, it's
mine's in shit shape.
mint.
But yeah,
You still have yours?
yeah, it's in there somewhere.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I don't sell anything anymore.
No way.
Not really. Not unless.
You have to.
Hey, John, what's going on? Can you explain the difference between running the pedal in front of the amp or through the effects loop? Yeah, if you run it through the effects loop, you'll bypass the preamp in your amp, and you know the EQ is, you know, it's not technically active, but it feels very active on the G3. So it'll, it'll essentially just be like it going into your power section. Honestly, I always run our pedals in front of amps. I know you can run them into effects loops, but unless it's an amp that I really feel doesn't take pedals well, like
Right.
I've always had a problem getting orange amps to take pedals well.
It's because they kind of stink.
Yeah, I like the rock reverb, but I don't have one. I was actually debating. There's a dude that I know locally that's getting rid of a rock reverb
Okay.
50, and I was like, maybe.
Are they not a little bit cold orange amps? Like, their
There's-
cabs
yeah.
are phenomenal. Like, those
They're-
thick freaking cabs with V30s in them, like, they're
There's-
great.
They're stiff, I find,
Right.
but they do that like kind of like that classic rocky.
They punch. There's for sure a lot
Yeah.
of punch.
I had a rock reverb for a while, and I got rid of it, and I hadn't played it very much when I had it, and I always think like, man, maybe I'd like that again. and then I feel like I probably would never play it.
Right. Yeah.
But
well, you
yeah.
got a lot of decent. You got a lot of decent amps here, anyways. You know, like
Yeah.
decent stuff.
Yeah, I don't really want for anything. There's things I would like because it would be fun, but
Right. How's your
Yeah.
Bogner?
amazing.
Yeah.
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 Like, I remember when the Ecstasy pedals came out, the blue and the red ones,
I-
they were monstrous.
I have never played the pedals. I had a different Bogner, like a different Ecstasy for a while.
Yeah.
So I got that one. I got that Marshall / AFD 100, and then this Soldano SLO 100.
Yeah.
There was this massive auction that happened in June, right after the NAMM show. That was from BC somewhere. Some crazy
Okay.
rich dude. Like, not a word of a lie. There had to be 100 PRSs in that auction.
Okay.
And they were all like artist series. Like, none of them were like the entry level PRSs.
no SEs.
They had he had a ton of Pete Cornish effects, like
Oh, cool.
really, really crazy stuff.
Cool.
And he had a ton of amps, and like those were three that I was like, I had an Ecstasy 101B that
Yeah.
belonged to my buddy Jeremy, who does our web design.
Cool.
And the deal was he had traded me for my Kemper.
Cool.
And then he had said, hey, if I get the cash back together, I love this amp. Can I buy it back? And I've always made that deal with anybody that I've bought stuff from, that like, especially if they sell it because they can't afford to have like two things at once.
Right.
I'm always like, well, if you get in the position that you can afford it, I'll sell it back to you for
Right.
what I paid you for it.
Right.
And he called, and I was like, damn it, it's got to go back. So so I
Man.
so I sent Jeremy back his Ecstasy, and I always kind of regretted it. I hate like that red Tolex.
What?
But that's
It makes me
the-
think of those old Marshall amps. What were these old like John Frusciante from the Chili Peppers
Yeah.
played that Marshall?
They had like
half
a
stack
lot of JMPs and stuff like that had
Okay.
custom Tolex like that. But I
with like the wicker
Yeah.
grill.
yeah. So this dude had the Bogner, and I got really good deals. Like, everything that I bought was half off of what you would buy it on Reverb in that
Wow.
auction. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. If I'm trying to think if I had to pick a favorite amp that's like not a rev amp that's up there. It's really tough to say. I'd say either that Marshall Slash, that's way up there. The SLO is up there for obvious reasons, or one of the JMPs.
Yeah.
That's the Marshall Slash is just unreal good. Like, they're crazy hard to find too.
Right.
So yeah.
That's rad. What's the Rev 50 over there?
That was a prototype that we decided to can and never do anything else with, because it's, at least not right now. I don't like the knob layout on it. It's like,
It's pretty crammed.
well, and it's weird. Like, if you actually get up close and look
Okay.
at it, like, some of the knobs are not like, it's not like this set
I see.
are all together. It's, yeah, there's things that are shared, and
Right.
it was our first crack at trying to do a high wattage head with the torpedo embedded stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then we took it to NAMM to show some people. It was in like a separate private room, and it went over really well, but we weren't happy with the voicing, so we just decided, screw it, we would do the generator 120 and 100P and 100R with the two-note stuff, and
Right.
then, and then that just got shelved. We'll eventually look at it later, but we've
Right.
got kind of too many other designs in the works right now to get back to it. For
Totally.
now. So
Yeah.
the other one over there is the Karsten Grace.
That's what I was gonna ask. What is that?
That's Billy Corgan's new signature amp out of Chicago. So
cool.
it sounds a lot like Smashing Pumpkins. So it's cool. A lot of friends that got them, that, like, there was only 100 of them made. A bunch of friends got them that really raved about them. And
Okay.
then one came up used from a buddy, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick it up and see. And it's cool. It sounds great. Like, there's so little out there, like, when you're buying stuff that's like considered boutique, there's so little out there that isn't great. Like,
For sure. It's just like you're now getting to like a personal preference of like, it's this boutique tone to this boutique tone, and well, this profile suits me better. Like,
Yeah.
it's all beautiful instruments, or all beautiful gear anyway.
I say the same thing. Like, I got a lot of friends that like to shit on like pedals that people do and be like, this pedal's not great, or this pedal sucks, or this pedal sucks. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, the guy who designed it, no one designs gear thinking I'm gonna build something that sucks and hopefully fool people into thinking it's great. Like
What a waste of time.
That pedal, while like, you know, there's pedals that I've played from lots of small builders and some big builders that I'm like, this is not my thing. I don't know, like, I couldn't use it. I don't know how people love it, but you know what? Like, actually, you know, it's as horrible as it's gonna be for me to say this, I kind of feel that way about the King of Tone.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan. I get it. I get why people like it.
Right.
But I would take a Timmy pedal over it, or a KTR, or they're not the same thing by any means. But I would take a lot of other pedals over that pedal.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, but I mean, if that's what floats your boat, I've kind of been the same way with like, I have Joey's like Jackson Audio Golden Boy.
Right. Yeah.
And it's got like 6 different voicings or 4 different voicings in it, and I've found one that I'm like, that's cool.
Right.
But for the most part, like that Schnobel tone,
Right.
I've used it, and I barely ever used the Golden Boy because of that.
Right.
So like, and I felt that way about like a lot of pedals that I see that are like that sell really well, and I'm like, this doesn't. But I mean, you heard, you know, like, what doesn't matter what I plug into and play, you know, I get that sound and it sounds like me.
Yeah.
And you know, so if I find something that I have a hard time doing that, I'm like,
totally.
do I really want to do this? So.
Yep.
But that doesn't invalidate what somebody else has designed. Like, just because you don't like it or I don't like it or whoever doesn't like it, I mean, you know, any boutique builder, that is their baby, and they're gonna find an audience for it. And you know, shit, I hope they do. Like, I hope that everybody who gets into designing and puts kind of their heart and soul into making something finds the audience that loves it, because there is an audience that is gonna love it. I don't care what it is. I hate fuzz pedals. I find zero use for fuzz pedals.
Oh, that's
and
hilarious.
I mean, they're one of the biggest kind of pedal segments in the market.
For sure, man.
Yeah. But I mean, I like clarity, you know what I mean? Like, nice low output Strat pickups. Yeah. That's that, like,
I mean, there's so much drive, but you're not losing any of the guitar's character.
well, looks like my in-ear pack died, so guess what time it is? I think that's about time for us to shut it down, because
We've stretched it.
we stretched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we're long. We're nearing like 3 hours. So I said we were gonna be an hour and a half. And dude, it's been so much fun.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah.
This has been a ride, man.
And you know, thank you all you guys for coming and hanging out with us, and you know, shooting the shit a little bit, and you know, as we mess around with stuff. And you know, I'm supposed to say all the things like and subscribe, and you know, follow us, go to Facebook, join the Rev Amplification community. But most importantly, if you want to see anything, you know, shoot us an email. My email's derek@revamps.com. It's DEREK. And if there's pedals that you guys want to see us try out, or you're curious what we think, you know, drop me a line. I love buying pedals and trying new things. So yeah, let me know what you're into and what we should check out. And Logan, dude, thanks so much for hanging out. It was fun.
This was a
lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week with whatever other stupid shit we're gonna come and hang out and talk about and play with.
Rev it up.
Yeah. I'll turn all my pedals on for everybody. I like to do these like slow, like